بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. Who was here on Wednesday? Yeah? Okay. Because remember we were reading from تفسير القرطبي. Yeah. والليل إذا يغشى والنهار إذا تجلى ها؟ والذكر والأنثى. لكن هذا يخالف الإجماع. Okay. Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فكنا نقرأ من تفسير الإمام القرطبي رحمه الله. Okay. So it says so the end of the first paragraph is where we had ended, where Abu Darda radiyallahu anhu, he came upon some people. He asked them how did Abdullah ibn Mas'ud recite the surah, and then he says, أنا والله هكذا سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقرأها. That's how I heard the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم recite it. He says ولكن هؤلاء يريدون أن أقرأ وما خلق. He says but these people, they want me to recite وما خلق, يعني يقصد وما خلق الذكر والأنثى, فقال فلا أتابعهم بمعنى I'll not follow them, right? Then the author Imam al-Qurtubi rahimahullah, he brings basically how these two narrations, they go against basically everything else that the Sahaba narrated, right? Then he says over here, he says حمزة اقرأ ولو
صح الحديث عن أبي الدرداء وكان
سم الله قل بسم الله.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. قال المؤلف رحمه الله ولو صح الحديث عن أبي الدرداء وكان إسناده مقبولا معروفا.
He says ولو صح الحديث عن أبي الدرداء. He says if the hadith is authentic from Abu Darda وكان إسناده مقبولا معروفا, and even if its isnad is مقبولا, acceptable, معروفا, well known. Go ahead.
ثم كان أبو بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وسائر الصحابة رضي الله عنهم يخالفونه.
نعم. قال ثم كان أبو بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وسائر الصحابة يخالفونه. He says even if the hadith is authentic and its isnad is fine, he says taking that all into account, he says Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, and سائر الصحابة means like the rest of the companions. يخالفونه, they go against it, right? They didn't read like that. لكان الحكم
عملا بما روته الجماعة.
نعم.
ورفض ما يحكيه الواحد المنفرد.
Stop. He says لكان الحكم. He says if the hadith is authentic and the isnad is all good, and he says but then we have Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali and the rest of the Sahaba, they all go against it, right? And he says لكان الحكم, then the ruling is العمل بما روته الجماعة, like the action will be upon what the Jama'ah has narrated, right? ورفض, what's رفض? Anyone? رفض, say رفضت شيئا, to reject something, to reject. He says ورفض, so he says the hukum is, he says لكان الحكم, the hukum is العمل بما روته الجماعة, acting upon that which the Jama'ah has narrated. فهمتم? العمل, acting upon, ما روته الجماعة, what the Jama'ah has narrated, ورفض ما يحكيه الواحد المنفرد, and rejecting and refusing that which has been narrated. يحكي, حكى, يحكي, been narrated by one person. فهمتم? Okay. بعده. So والليل إذا يغشى والنهار إذا تجلى وما خلق الذكر والأنثى. Okay. Hamza, continue reading. وفي المراد بالذكر
والأنثى قولان.
Okay, you guys know where he's reading? Yes? وفي المراد بالذكر والأنثى قولان. Do you understand that? Do you know murad? Huh?
Meaning.
The meaning,
Yeah.
right? What is the intent? What is the meaning, right? The objective. وفي المراد بالذكر والأنثى قولان. So what's he saying? About what?
The meaning of الذكر والأنثى.
Good. Continue reading.
أحدهما آدم وحواء.
وحواء. نعم. قاله ابن عباس والحسن والكلبي. أحدهما, one of those two opinions is that it's referring to Adam and Hawa. الثاني اقرأ.
الثاني يعني جميع الذكور والإناث من بني آدم والبهائم.
نعم.
لأن الله تعالى خلق جميعهم من ذكر وأنثى من نوعين.
نعم. Translate.
The second meaning all men and women from the children of Adam
والبهائم. What's bahaim?
and from animals.
Animals. What's the singular?
Behemoth.
Good. Continue.
Because Allah Ta'ala created all of them in male and females.
من نوعهم, from like, so because Allah created all of them from male and female. من نوعهم, from each one of their categories He created male and female, right? Okay, we can skip that. قوله تعالى so we're going to skip then he says إن سعيكم لشتى which is قوله تعالى فأما من أعطى واتقى وصدق بالحسنى فسنيسره لليسرى وأما من بخل واستغنى وكذب بالحسنى فسنيسره للعسرى. He says فيه أربع مسائل. Basically this is what he does. He brings a set of ayahs and then he says فيه أربع مسائل, for example, like there's 4 things I want to discuss, 4 issues, 4 matters, right? Depending on the amount of verses he brings and how much stuff there is he wants to talk about them, he'll say, you know, he'll talk about how many issues, right? Okay. منى اقرأ الأولى.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. الأولى قوله تعالى فأما من أعطى واتقى. قال ابن مسعود يعني أبا بكر رضي الله عنه. وقال عامة المفسرين. فروي عن عامر بن عبد الله بن الزبير قال كان أبو بكر يعتق على الإسلام عجائز
ونساء. نعم. Stop. الأولى قوله تعالى, the first, meaning the first of the 4 issues he wants to discuss. We won't go through all of them, but he says فأما من أعطى واتقى. As for the one who gives and has taqwa, he says قال ابن مسعود يعني أبا بكر, meaning Ibn Mas'ud said it's referring to Abu Bakr. وقال عامة المفسرين. What's عامة المفسرين mean? Yeah, the majority, right? Or like the general theme amongst all the mufassirin, that وقال هو عامة المفسرين, meaning the majority of the mufassirin also said the same thing, right? And then he says فروي عن عامر بن عبد الله بن الزبير قال, he said كان أبو بكر يعتق على الإسلام عجائز ونساء. Ramsha, what does that part mean? كان أبو بكر يعتق على الإسلام عجائز ونساء.
I'm not sure what يعتق means.
يعتق مريم. حمزة.
To bring.
Muna.
Is it like connect?
To what?
Connect?
No, it's to free. إعتاق. It's to free.
What is the movie?
أعتق يعتق. أعتق يعتق. So يعتق على الإسلام عجائز ونساء. Like he would, basically it's saying that he would, once he accepted Islam, in Islam, he would free عجائز, people that were weak, ونساء, and women. Okay? فهمتم? Who was reading? Ramsha, you were reading?
No,
Continue. Mona?
فقال له أبو قحافة أي بني لو أنك أعتقت رجالا جلدا يمنعوك ويقومون معك قال يا أبتي إنما أريد ما يريد.
Translate. So it says, so he used to free people that were weak and women, right? قال فقال له أبوه أبو قحافة.
So his father said to him.
Yeah, no, it's good. فقال له أبوه. So his father said to him, his father's name was Abu Quhafa. Go ahead.
Oh my son, if you free slaves who are men, I don't know.
Juldan over here is referring to people that are strong. Like, Ya bunay, oh my son, لو أنك أعتقت رجال الجلدا. Like, basically like, why don't you free men that are strong?
Who will protect you?
يمنعونك over here means they will protect you. يمنعونك, منع, to prevent. Right? Over here, يمنعونك, they will prevent other people from, right? So they will protect you.
And stand with you.
They will stand with you. Why don't you free men so they will protect you and they will stand with you?
He said, oh my father, surely I wish what you wish.
لا ما يريد. Wait. One second. إنما أريد أظنه قال ما عندهم. إنما أريد أظنه قال ما عندهم. إنما أريد ما أريد لو أعتقد. إنما أريد ما يريد. إنما أريد ما يريد. What's he saying?
I want what he wants.
Who's he?
Oh, that was the problem.
Huh?
Oh.
إنما أريد ما يريد الله. إنما أريد ما يريد الله. فهمتم? I only want what Allah wants. I only want what He wants. إنما is called أداة حصر. It's an instrument or a particle that is used to restrict something. Right? For example, Allah says, إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم. Like the believers are only these people. Got it? So إنما أريد ما يريد, like I only want what he wants. فهمتم؟ حصر 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 حصر, to like restrict something or to limit something. Also, like in terms of a physical nature, so like to block something, to blockade something, to surround something. Right? So, okay. Okay, skip that. Make sure. Okay. So Allah says, فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى. So regarding the part فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى, right? Read Maryam, وَفِي صَحِيحِ مُسْلِمٍ. عن أبي هريرة
قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ما من يوم يصبح العباد فيه إلا وملكان ينزلان فيقول أحدهما اللهم أعطي منفقا خلفا.
نعم.
ويقول الآخر
No. It is based on type. ويقول الآخر
أعطي
ممسكا
تلفا.
نعم. وفي صحيح مسلم in صحيح مسلم عن أبي هريرة on the authority of Abu Hurairah قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet said ما من يوم يصبح العباد فيه إلا وملكان ينزلان. Who knows what it means? Mana?
So there's no day that the servants wake up in except that there's two angels coming down.
نعم. ما من يوم, there's not a day. ما من يوم يصبح العباد فيه, that the servants يصبح, أصبح يصبح from صباح. ما من يوم, there's not a day يصبح العباد فيه, that the servants wake up in, إلا except وملكان ينزلان, two angels come down. فيقول أحدهما, one of them says, Maryam, اللهم أعطي منفقا خلفا. What does that mean? اللهم أعطي, give, أعطي, منفقا.
It's like something that's given, coming from anfaqa.
Okay, who's munfiq?
Allah.
The
No, the one receiving.
The one giving. يعني الإنفاق في سبيل الله. الإنفاق في سبيل الله is given in the path of Allah. Okay? So اللهم أعطي منفقا. Oh Allah, give the one that basically gives. Give the one that gives. Munfiq from, not to be confused with munafiq. Okay? Munfiq from anfaqa yunfiqu, meaning to give in the path of Allah. Right? So Allahumma a'ti munfiqan khalafan. Oh Allah, give the one who gives khalafan. Khalafan over here means basically give him something in its place. Right? Give him something after it. Give him something in return. Right? Something that comes after. Khalifa, right? Khalafan, give him something that comes after whatever he gave. Okay? وَيَقُولُ الْآخَرُ, and the other one says, اللهم أعطي ممسكا تلفا. Oh Allah, give mumsikan. What's mumsikan mean? Huh? The one who withholds. From amsaka yumsiku, to hold on to something. Okay? So over here means to withhold. So Allahumma a'ti mumsikan talafan. Oh Allah, give the one that withholds destruction. Destruction. Ramsha, read the narration after it. Are you guys understanding? I know there's words, but you guys are understanding? Yes? After we translate? Go ahead.
وروي من حديث أبي الدرداء أن الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من يوم
ما من يوم
ما من يوم غربت شمسه إلا بعث بجنبتيها
It should the فتحة should be on the jim.
إلا بجنبتيها ملكان يناديان يسمعهما خلق الله كلهم إلا الثقلين اللهم أعطي منفقا خلفا وأعطي ممسكا تلفا وأنزل الله تعالى في ذلك في القرآن فأما من أعطى الآيات.
نعم. وروي من حديث أبي الدرداء has been narrated from the hadith of Abu Darda. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Ma min yawmin." What's ma min yawmin mean? There's no day. We got that part, right? Ma min yawmin gharabat shamsuhu. What's gharabat shamsuhu? Okay, so there's not a day that its sun sets, right? Shamsuhu, the ha in shamsuhu is going back to the day. Okay, there's not a day when its sun sets, illa except bu'itha. What's bu'itha mean? To be sent. Okay? Illa bu'itha bi jambatayha. Except that something is sent on both of its sides. Right? The two sides of what? What's it referring to? Huh? La. Bu'itha bi jambatayha. The shams. Yeah. Bu'itha bi jambatayha. The ha is going back to shams. Right? So bu'itha bi jambatayha, except that something is sent on both of its sides. What is it? Malakani yunadiyan. Two angels that are yunadiyan. What's yunadiyan mean? Calling out, right? Nada yunadi. They put parda on the AC shakhawa. Malakan yunadiyan. Two angels that are calling out. يسمعهما خلق الله كلهم إلا الثقلين. Ramsha?
All the creation of Allah hears them.
Here's both of them, good.
Except two.
Who's Thaqalain referring to?
Two types of people.
Humans and jinn. Okay? So, he says, there's not a day that the sun sets in it, except that two angels that are calling out are sent by jambatayha. It's both sides. يَسْمَعُهُمَا خَلْقُ اللَّهِ كُلُّهُمْ إِلَّا الثَّقَلَيْنِ. Except that the creation of Allah hears both of them. The only creation that doesn't hear is ثقلين الإنس والجن. فهمتم? What are they saying? اللهم أعطي منفقا خلفا وأعطي ممسكا تلفا. Oh Allah, give the one that gives خلفا in return, وأعطي ممسكا تلفا, and give the one that withholds destruction. وأنزل الله تعالى في ذلك في القرآن فأما من أعطى. فهمتم?
You said on the two sides of the sun?
Yes. The first one is the stronger narration. This is a much more common narration. Okay. Do you guys remember when we took وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى? وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى, we mentioned 4 meanings. ما هي?
The first is that he will be given something in return for what he's given.
Okay, that was one of them.
And then Quran,
Okay.
Jannah, and La ilaha illallah.
Yeah, those are the 4 that we mentioned, right? Okay.
What's the last one?
So they were, I think the order I mentioned was وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى, and they believe in La ilaha illallah. Second was they believe in that they will be given, meaning something in return for what they gave. The third was Jannah, and then the fourth was Quran. Okay? And we said they're all complementary. Okay, so he'll mention some here. وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى. Najib, اقرأ.
Sorry,
Right at the top now.
وصدق بالحسنى أي بلا
بلا
إله إلا الله
بلا إله إلا الله. Okay, وصدق بالحسنى بلا إله إلا الله. قال الضحاك والسلمي وابن عباس أيضا. Okay, read the second one. The second line. وقال مجاهد
وقال مجاهد بالجنة دليله قوله تعالى للذين أحسنوا
للذين أحسنوا الحسنى
وزيادة.
Okay, stop. So he says وصدق بالحسنى, those that believe in الحسنى. He says أي بلا إله إلا الله. We finished with that one, right? The second line, he says وقال مجاهد said بالجنة, meaning وصدق بالحسنى, they believe in Jannah. What's his evidence? دليله قوله تعالى. His evidence is the statement of the Most High, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Yunus للذين أحسنوا الحسنى وزيادة. What does that mean, Mona? للذين أحسنوا الحسنى وزيادة.
For the ones who do good is husna, Jannah, and more.
So the overwhelming majority of tafsir, they said this verse in Surah Yunus, للذين, for those that أحسنوا, do good, is al-husna. They said over here al-husna refers to Jannah, and ziyada refers to, anyone? Seeing Allah, right? So Mujahid used this as an evidence to say that husna refers to Jannah, right? Makes sense? You understand his dalil? It's pretty strong, right? 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 Okay. وقال قتادة, Hamza, third line.
وقال قتادة
بموعود الله
الذي وعده
أن يثيبه. Okay, وقال قتادة said it is بموعود الله. It is, they believe in the موعود الله. What's the موعود? What's موعود, Mona? No. The promise of Allah, الذي وعده, the one he promised him, أن يثيبه, to reward him, to give him thawab. فهمتم؟
So,
يثيبه أثاب يثيب, to reward. أثاب يثيب, to compensate, to reward, right? Read the next one. Maryam, Zayd ibn Aslam.
زيد ibn Aslam.
نعم.
بالصلاة والزكاة والصوم.
So Zayd ibn Aslam said والصلاة والزكاة والصوم. يعني, summarize it in one word, Islam. Right? وصدق بالحسنى. Right? Okay. Ramshad, read the last line. وكله. What does that mean? وكله متقارب المعنى. They're all very close in meaning. وكله متقارب المعنى. They're all very close in meaning. Continue. إذ كله يرجع إلى الثواب الذي هو الجنة. When all of them, they go back to reward the one that is paradise. الثانية, يعني الثانية تذكرون قال في البداية فيه 4 مسائل, فذكر الأولى وهذه الثانية. فهمتم؟ قوله تعالى فسنيسره لليسرى. منى اقرأي. So we will ease him towards ease, or we will facilitate for him ease.
فسنيسره لليسرى أي نرشده الأسباب الخير والصلاح.
مرة أخرى.
للأسباب الخير والصلاح.
نرشده لأسباب الخير والصلاح. ترجمي.
We will direct him to the paths of
the causes of good and righteousness. Okay? So فسنيسره لليسرى, we will guide him or direct him towards the paths of good and righteousness. Continue. So it's continue. So نرشده لأسباب الخير والصلاح حتى يسهل
عليه فعلها.
نعم. Okay, so now translate the whole thing. نرشده لأسباب الخير والصلاح حتى يسهل عليه فعلها.
doing the causes of goodness and righteousness until like the actions of these causes will be made easy for him.
نعم حتى يسهل عليه فعلها, that doing them فعلها, doing them becomes easy upon him. حتى يسهل عليه فعلها. It's very important recognizing what's the fa'il, what's the fi'l, who's the maf'ul, what's going on, right? So you translate it properly. So حتى يسهل عليه فعلها, so that the actions or doing them, carrying them out becomes easy upon him. Okay, this is a famous hadith. Okay, so this is, we'll cut it in half, but basically this was after a janazah that the companions attended with the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ said, so read from Ramsha. فَرَفَعَ رَأْسَهُ إِلَى السَّمَاءِ
فرفع رأسه إلى السماء فقال ما من نفس منفوسة إلا قد كتب مدخلها.
Okay. فَرَفَعَ رَأْسَهُ إِلَى السَّمَاءِ. So the Prophet ﷺ, he raised his head towards the sky. فقال, and he said, ما من نفس منفوسة. Like it's like saying there's no breathing living creature, there's no breathing living nafs. ما من نفس منفوسة. Okay? Manfusa is taken from the word nafs. It's the maf'ul. Okay? ما من نفس منفوسة. Like there's no living soul. Okay? إلا قد كتب مدخلها. Except that its place of entry, meaning its destination, has already been written. Meaning the place that will enter, it's written. فهمتم? Okay? Continue Ramsha.
فقال القوم يا رسول الله أفلا نتكل على كتابنا.
فقال القوم يعني قال الصحابة رضي الله عنهم. The Sahaba, they said أفلا نتكل على كتابنا. Anyone?
فمن كان
لا ترجمة. أفلا نتكل على كتابنا.
Is نتكل like should be like work on?
No. Try to put it into context. He's saying that, look, basically it's all been decreed. Wherever you're going to go, it's been decreed.
So like should we not rely on our books?
Basically, should we just sit back? أفلا نتكل على كتابنا. Should we just rely on our books basically? Like why are we working hard? Like why are we doing righteous actions? أفلا نتكل على كتابنا. Let's just sit back and decree take its place. That's what they're saying, okay? It has a similar root from ittakala to rely, to trust, right?
Also, the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, when he's talking about kutba madkhalha, is he talking about the grave or any?
No, like destination.
Any destination.
No, like the overall, like the final.
End, the final
yeah, the final end. Okay. Okay, go ahead, Ramsha.
فمن كان من أهل السعادة فإنه يعمل للسعادة ومن كان من أهل الشقاء فإنه يعمل للشقاء.
So the Sahaba, they give their reasoning. They say, shall we not rely on our books? فمن كان من أهل السعادة فإنه يعمل للسعادة. Whoever's from the people of, like whoever's going to be the people of the happiness, then فإنه يعمل للسعادة. They're going to end up doing good deeds, right? ومن كان من أهل الشقاء, and whoever's from the people of misery, فإنه يعمل للشقاء, is going to work towards misery and wretchedness. Basically, like this is like, Okay, go ahead. يعني قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. Go ahead, أكملي.
بل اعملوا فكل ميسر.
فكل ميسر. And في رواية أخرى كل ميسر لما خلق له. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم بل, rather, اعملوا meaning do your actions. فكل ميسر. فكل ميسر. What does that mean? Everyone will be facilitated, right? In the other narration, everyone will be facilitated. لما خلق له, for that which they were created for. Right? Go ahead.
أما من كان من أهل السعادة فإنه ييسر لعمل السعادة وأما من كان من أهل الشقاء فإنه ييسر لعمل الشقاء. ثم قرأ فأما من أعطى واتقى وصدق بالحسنى فسنيسره لليسرى وأما من بخل واستغنى وكذب بالحسنى فسنيسره للعسرى.
So he basically gave them back their argument. He says, no, you have to do your actions, and when you do your actions, they will be facilitated for you. Then he says, أما من كان من أهل السعادة فإنه ييسر لعمل السعادة. Whoever is from the people of goodness and happiness, those actions will be made easy for them, and whoever from the opposite group of people, those actions will be made easy for them.
Sheikh, the word amma grammatically means as for, right?
As for.
And lamma was different. Lam.
Yeah. Lamma, yeah, it has a few meanings. Okay. Skip. Okay. Okay, let me see some. إذا سقط في سقط في جهنم بالنار. Okay, we're going to skip down to إن علينا للهدى. إن علينا للهدى. Remember when we talked about this verse and I explained it, we said huda is of two types, or we described huda into two categories. تذكرون؟ من يذكرنا بما قلنا؟
So like there's the
What in Arabic?
oh
What are the two types? ها من كتب
هداية التوفيق
هداية التوفيق, which is
guidance solely from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
explain.
Like only Allah brings this guidance. Like it's strictly from Him.
Isn't all guidance from Allah?
Yes, but this one is only like no one takes part in this. This is only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because that's what you told me. And the other one, Hidayat.
لا قبل هذا هداية التوفيق. ما هو هداية التوفيق? It only comes from Allah. All hidayah comes from Allah.
Yeah, but this one like no one plays a part in this. Allah.
What is this?
No one
Explain
plays
this.
a part in the guidance of the person.
That you relay the message, but Allah's the one who guides.
That's the other one.
No, that's Hidayat al-Tawfiq.
No.
منى ما هي هداية التوفيق؟
So like if someone
I gave a specific example.
like if someone just
Yeah,
comes to Islam like, on their own,
Oh,
like without
Which example I gave?
like it has to do with the fact that like Ahl Yemen, like they accepted Islam very easily or something like that. No, I'm
It's Allah's guidance to someone, if that makes, so I gave the example of, like you're giving someone da'wah and you're like, look, my job is just to give the message. Allah's the one that converts people, right? So it's actually them being given success or tawfiq from Allah, hidayat al-tawfiq, to accept Islam. Okay? فهمتم? The second is what?
Hidayatul Irshad والدلالة
والدلالة. Hidayat al-irshad والدلالة, which is guiding people, indicating to them what's right and wrong, showing them the message, right? So we said the first part, which is guiding them, we could say guiding them towards Islam or righteousness, that only happens from Allah, okay? But Hidayatul irshadi wa dalala, which is guiding people, showing them, right? Like, hey, this is right, this is wrong, this is why Islam makes sense. This is the one that we said the human beings have a part in it. We said the first one doesn't, right? Because a human being could give da'wah for 50 years, person won't accept Islam because there was no hidayah to tawfiq from Allah, right? That's why the Prophet ﷺ was told by Allah, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ, right? You cannot guide, meaning you cannot convert, literally, those that you love. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ, but Allah guides whomever He wills, right? This is common theme. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ, that He guides whomever He wills. Like He shows them the straight path. He blesses them with Islam. Right? Hidayatul irshadi wa dalala, right, is the part that, or the type of hidayah that all of us have a part in, meaning that we can show people guidance. We can explain to them guidance, right? But if Allah doesn't will for them hidayah to tawfiq, they'll never accept Islam. Do you guys get the difference?
So,
Both of them come from Allah.
yeah.
The second we play a part in, right?
So,
But that also essentially comes from Allah.
So Hidayat Tawfiq is still within the second one. It's like the
It's the
pieces
thamara.
needed.
It's the thamara of the. It's the fruit of the second one. Hidayat Tawfiq, you could understand it as the thamara of the second one, the fruit of the second one, right? But Hidayat Tawfiq can happen without
Without it.
Irshad
So it's like
wa
how a prophet could be a messenger. Wait. Yeah. Let's wait. Like every messenger has to be a prophet, but not every prophet has to be a messenger. Right?
هذا فيه اختلاف كبير فلا ندخل فيه. This is the most common يعني definition, but يعني فيه اختلاف as well. But do you guys get the difference? Yes? Right. The common example I like to give is, look, you did da'wah, right? But you said like, hey, did you convert them? No, Allah converted them. Allah converted them. You just directed them, right? And then Allah blessed them with guidance. Yes?
So from what I understand is that the first part, the guiding, the telling them about Islam and explaining things, is Hidayat.
This is the second one.
The second one. And then the later Hidayat Tawfiq.
No.
Okay.
But Hidayat Tawfiq can come without
Yes.
you.
But in your story, I mean the one that the
My
example
story?
you gave.
She's making me.
I think it's confusing because
yeah.
you mentioned da'wah in both cases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
No.
So Hidayat Tawfiq is more like what happens in the heart, right?
Yeah.
And Hidayat,
It's the person either accepting Islam or they could be Muslim and then be guided towards righteousness. Right? And then Hidayatul Irshadi wa Dalala is where Allah basically uses people to guide other people. فهمتم? Okay. So, Inna alayna lal huda. Very simple explanation. Inna alayna lal huda. Maz, اقرأ.
إن علينا
أن نبين أن ينصب الفعل أن نبين
طريق الهدى من طريق الضلالة.
نعم. إن علينا للهدى, indeed upon us is guidance, meaning إن علينا, indeed upon us, incumbent upon us, أن نبين طريق الهدى, to clarify the path of guidance, من طريق الدلالة, to clarify the path of guidance from the path of misguidance. Continue.
فالهدى
بمعنى
بيان الأحكام.
بيان الأحكام.
بيان الأحكام.
فالهدى, so he says فالهدى, huda means بمعنى بيان الأحكام. بيان الأحكام means to clarify the rulings. Okay. قاله الزجاج أي على الله. Continue. على الله.
على الله البيان.
على الله البيان. So he says إن علينا للهدى means على الله البيان. Upon Allah is to clarify things, to make things clear. Continue.
بيان حلاله وحرامه.
To clarify his halal, what he has made halal, and to clarify what he has made haram. Continue. وطاعته ومعصيته. وطاعته ومعصيته. And to clarify his obedience and what is considered his disobedience. Okay? Okay. وَإِنَّ لَنَا لَلْآخِرَةَ وَالْأُولَى. Indeed belongs to us the akhirah and the first, right? You guys remember we said?
Belongs in both. Oh, there were two meanings, like reasons as to
We
why.
said حكمة هذا وحكمة ماذا قلنا؟
حكمة.
إن علينا للهدى. حكمة منى لفظية. حكمة لفظية وحكمة معنوية. حكمة لفظية وحكمة معنوية. Regarding what? The order. Why did آخرة come first? فماذا قلنا؟ حكمة لفظية. ما معنى حكمة لفظية؟
Like worded that way is to follow the flow of the surah.
حكمة لفظية. ترجم حكمة لفظية.
Wisdom of pronunciation.
Wisdom of pronunciation of the wording. Which was, what was that wisdom?
Keeps them right.
So that it flows.
So that it flows. يعني, I'm trying to get you to go in order. You're jumping to the end. Okay? So that it goes in order. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَى وَالنَّهَارِ, right? And then we said حكمة معنوية. A hikmah that is related to
The meaning.
meaning. And then we said there were two, right? The first was?
That Allah owns the akhirah solely.
Okay,
No,
that,
sorry,
that was
first
the
one,
second.
the one that is more important is mentioned first.
Yes. We said the first hikmatun ma'nawiyatun was that. The one that is more important is mentioned
First.
first. Good.
And the second was that the akhirah belongs only to Allah, whereas in the dunya you have the perception that people have dominion over things.
Allahu Akbar. Ahsant. Ahsant. Fahimtum? All of you get it? He said hikmatun ma'nawiyatun. The first was the one that is more important is mentioned first. And then the second hikmah ma'nawiyya was that al-akhirah belongs solely to Allah. Right? That's why Surah Al-Ghafir, لِمَنِ الْمُلْكُ الْيَوْمِ. To whom belongs the kingdom today? Will be said on the Day of Judgment. As for the dunya, some people have the perception that they have authority or dominion over this world. Right? So the first one belongs solely to Allah. The second one belongs solely to Allah as well. But people have the perception, or some people have the perception, that they have a share in that kingdom. Fahimtum? Also, and it follows the pattern of Surah Al-Duha, right? وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى. So both of them are mentioned in consecutive surahs, and in both of them the akhirah is mentioned, right? First. Let's see. Okay. Skipping over. It says. Okay. We're going to skip towards the end of the surah. Where Allah says, وَمَا لِأَحَدٍ عِنْدَهُ مِن نِعْمَةٍ تُجْزَى إِلَّا ابْتِغَاءَ وَجْهِ رَبِّهِ الْأَعْلَى وَلَسَوْفَ يَرْضَى. So this is talking about the one who's giving. تذكرون? Right? This is talking about the one who's giving. Right? So it says, وَمَا لِأَحَدٍ عِنْدَهُ مِن نِعْمَةٍ تُجْزَى. The reason he's giving, right, is not because he's repaying a favor to someone. Someone that had done him a favor and then he's repaying that, right? إِلَّا ابْتِغَاءَ وَجْهِ رَبِّهِ الْأَعْلَى. The only reason he's giving is that he's seeking the pleasure of his Lord the Most High. وَلَسَوْفَ يَرْضَى. And he will be pleased. And we said, when I explained the surah, we said in the book, although one meaning is given, وَلَسَوْفَ يَرْضَى can have two possible meanings. The fa'il can either be
Abu Bakr or Allah.
Allah or
Abu Bakr.
Abu Bakr, but in general, any person that fulfills these conditions, right? Okay. مريم اقرأي قوله تعالى.
Which one?
قوله تعالى.
وما لأحد عنده من نعمة تجزى إلا ابتغاء وجه ربه.
لا أي.
قاله تعالى وما لأحد عنده من نعمة تجزى أي ليس
يتصدق
ليجازي على نعمة.
Okay, he says ليس يتصدق, he doesn't give صدقة ليجازي على نعمة, to repay a favor. Okay, ليجازي على نعمة, to repay a favor. Continue.
وإنما يبتغي وجه
ربه
الأعلى.
نعم, وإنما يبتغي وجه ربه الأعلى. Rather, he's seeking the face, meaning the pleasure of his Lord, the Most High. Okay, continue. أي المتعالي, the one that is high. Continue. ولسوف يرضى.
أي بالجزاء.
ولسوف يرضى, he will be pleased. بالجزاء, with the return. So in this interpretation, who's the fa'il? ولسوف يرضى. The person. He will be satisfied بالجزاء, with the reward, right? Okay, read. قال عذب المشركون بلالا.
وبلال يقول.
So عذب المشركون بلالا, the mushrikun, they were persecuting Bilal. وبلال يقول, and Bilal was saying أحد. Okay, فهمتم القصة؟ عذب المشركون بلالا وبلال يقول أحد. The mushrikin were persecuting Bilal, and he was saying أحد. Go ahead.
فمر به النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال أحد يعني الله تعالى ينجيك. ثم قال لأبي بكر يا أبا بكر إن بلالا يعذب في الله. فعرف أبو بكر الذي يريد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فانصرف إلى منزله.
يا مريم. مريم شهرا في باكستان نسيت حرف جر.
فانصرف إلى منزله فأخذ رطلا من ذهب
ومضى
به إلى
أمية بن خلف.
فقال له
أتبيعني
بلالا؟ قال نعم.
فاشتراه فأعتقه.
فقال المشركون ما أعتقه أبو بكر
إلا ليد
كانت له عنده فنزلت وما لأحد عنده أي عند أبي بكر من نعمة أي من يد ومن
نعم
تجزى
بل ابتغى
بما فعل وجه ربه أعلى.
Okay, so Bilal was being persecuted by the mushrikeen. وبلال يقول أحد, and Bilal kept saying أحد, one, right? فمر به النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال. So the Prophet ﷺ passed by him and he said أحد يعني الله تعالى ينجيك, meaning anybody?
Ahad means Allah.
Okay. Yeah. أحد يعني أحد, this one that you keep referring to, يعني Allah, ينجيك, will save you. Okay. ثم قال لأبي بكر, and then he said to Abu Bakr, يا أبا بكر, أو أبو بكر, إن بلالا يعذب في الله, that indeed Bilal is being persecuted because he's in the path of Allah, because he's against Islam. فعرف أبو بكر الذي يريد رسول الله. So Abu Bakr, he recognized what the messenger was intending, right? فانصرف إلى منزله, so he went to his house. فأخذ رطلا is a measure or a weight that was used at that time. Okay, so he took basically some measure, some weight, من ذهب, from gold. ومضى إلى أمية بن خلف, and he went towards Umayyah ibn Khalaf. فقال له, and he said to him, أتبيعني بلالا, will you sell Bilal to me? باع يبيع. قال نعم, he said نعم. فاشتراه فأعتقه, so he purchased him and he freed him. فقال المشركون, so the mushrikun, they said, ما أعتقه أبو بكر إلا ليد كانت له عنده, that the only reason Abu Bakr freed him was because ليد كانت له عنده, he owed him Bilal a favor, like he literally owed him a hand, right? There was something he had to repay. فنزلت, so the verse came down, وما لأحد عنده, أي عند أبي بكر, من نعمة, أي من يد ومنة, from a hand or from a favor, تجزى, that he was repaying, بل ابتغى بما فعل وجه ربه الأعلى, rather he was requesting what he did, the pleasure of Allah the Most High. فهمتم؟ خطأ. اوكي. ولا سوف يرضى. منى اقرأي.
ولا سوف يرضى أي سوف يعطيه في الجنة ما يرضى وذلك أنه يعطيه أضعاف ما أنفقه. وروي أبو حيان التيمي عن أبيه عن علي رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم رحم الله أبا بكر
زوجني ابنته وحملني إلى دار الحجرة وأعتق بلالا من ماله. Translate. From ولا سوف يرضى.
ولا سوف يرضى meaning he will give him what he will be pleased.
لا, translate ولا سوف يرضى first.
And he will be pleased.
Okay, go ahead.
And then he, until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will give him in Jannah what he will be pleased with. And that is because he used to give them.
لا, أنه يعطيه, he will give him. Continue. And that is like the way he will give him that which he is pleased with is that he will give him أضعاف ما أنفقه.
Like increase.
He will give him multitudes, multiplied ما أنفقه, of that which he gave. أضعاف ما أنفقه. He will give him whatever he gave multiplied.
Is this referring to monetary?
No, reward. Reward. Okay. وروى أبو حيان التيمي عن أبيه عن علي قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet ﷺ said,
may Allah have mercy on Abu Bakr. He has given me his daughter.
He married me his daughter.
And I don't know.
وحملني إلى دار الهجرة, like he literally carried me to the abode of hijrah, meaning that he spent all his wealth and his effort and he sacrificed his life. وأعتق بلالا من ماله, and he freed
Bilal from his own.
نعم. Read after that أحمد. ولما اشتراه.
بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله قال المؤلف رحمه الله ولما اشتراه أبو بكر قال له بلال هل اشتريتني لعملك أو لعمل الله؟ قال بل لعمل الله. قال فذرني وعمل الله فأعتقه.
So when Abu Bakr bought Bilal said to him, هل اشتريتني, did you buy me لعملك, like to do work for you, أو لعمل الله, or يعني so that I basically for Allah, so that I can basically live as a Muslim. قال بل لعمل الله, like I bought you for Allah, right? قال فذرني, so فذرني means like leave me. وعمل الله. Like leave me in the actions of Allah. Like let me be. فأعتقه. So Abu Bakr, he freed him immediately. Okay. Continue.
وكان عمر بن الخطاب يقول أبو بكر سيدنا وأعتق
سيدنا
وأعتق سيدنا يعني بلالا
نعم.
رضي الله.
كان عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه, this is his famous statement, he used to say يقول أبو بكر سيدنا. Abu Bakr is our leader or master. وأعتق سيدنا, and he's the one that freed our master, يعني بلالا. فهمتم؟
So Abu Bakr is our master and
he freed our master. Yani Umar is also not just showing the status of Abu Bakr amongst the companions, but the status of Bilal amongst the companions. Okay?
Sheikh,
No.
is it اعتق or أعتق?
أعتق يعتق. Okay. Okay, there's another some of the Mufassirin they mention, there's another reason of revelation regarding this last part of the verse, right? It's the story of Abu Dahdah, the companion by the name of Abu Dahdah. Okay, let's see if we can get through this. وقال عطاء said, هو عطاء ibn Abi Rabah, فقيه مكة. The tabi'in, they used to say about عطاء ibn Rabah that he is أعلم بأحكام الحج. He is the most knowledgeable regarding the rulings of Hajj. Right?
Was
So,
the one who was blind?
was it عطاء blind? لا أذكر.
What was his last name again?
عطاء ibn Abi Rabah. وروي عن ابن عباس, it has been narrated عن ابن عباس, إن السورة نزلت في أبي الدحداح, that the surah was revealed regarding Abu Dahdah. Okay? في النخلة التي اشتراها بحائط له. Right? It was revealed regarding Abu Dahdah في النخلة, regarding the date palm tree, التي اشتراها, the one that he bought it, بحائط له. How did he buy this date palm tree? He bought it with a ha'it lahu. A ha'it literally means a wall, okay? But over here it's referring to a garden that belonged to him. Fahimtum? There's a story behind this, okay? So, Abu Dahdah, he is saying it's revealed regarding him because he bought a date palm tree. How did he buy this date palm tree? He sold an entire garden to get this date palm tree. Why would he do such a thing? Okay. فيما ذكره الثعلبي عن عطاء وقال القشيري عن ابن عباس بأربعين نخلة. So he bought this one date palm tree for how many date palm trees? 40. ولم يسمى الرجل, right? And the name is not mentioned, meaning the name of the man that he bought it from is not mentioned. Right? No. Okay. قال عطاء. So now he's going to tell the story. عطاء said, كان لرجل من الأنصار نخلة يسقط من بلحها في دار جار له. من يترجم لنا هذا؟ كان لرجل من الأنصار نخلة يسقط من بلحها في دار جار له.
There was a man from
عظيم.
There was a man from the Ansar who had a palm tree that fell in his neighbor's.
The date palm tree didn't fall. يسقط من بلحها.
Oh, it fell from the palm tree?
So the word balah is used to refer to like a type of date. It's like the fresh dates.
It's the most fresh.
Yeah, it's like the most fresh, right?
Still yellow.
So there was yellow, right? So there was a date palm tree. يسقط من بلحها. The balah would fall. Continue.
In the house of his neighbor.
In the house of his neighbor. فهمتم؟ فيتناوله صبيانه. Go ahead. فيتناوله صبيانه.
So kids would take it.
His kids would eat it. يعني the neighbor, right? Because it's falling into his house, right? فيتناوله صبيانه يعني فيأكله صبيانه. صبي صبيان جم, right? So his kids would eat it, right? Natural thing happens. Right? فشكى ذلك إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. So he went and complained to the Prophet. Who went and complained to the Prophet? The owner of the tree. Right? Hey, like, my dates are falling, his kids are eating it. Alright? فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم تبيعها بنخلة في الجنة. He told the owner of the tree, will you sell this tree for a نخلة في الجنة, for a date palm tree in paradise. Sell it. Like, meaning the Prophet ﷺ was going to get money to give to him, and in return you'll have you'll get money, right? But you'll get نخلة في الجنة. You'll get a date palm tree in paradise. فأبى. He refused. Okay? فخرج فلقيه أبو الدحداح. So this man, he left. The man who owned it, he left. And he was met by Abu الدحداح. فقال هل لك أن تبيعنيها. أن تبيعنيها. There's a lot of مفعولs here. أن تبيعنيها. Like, will you sell it to me? Okay? تبيعنيها. Two مفعولs. Will you sell it to me? هل تبيعنيها بحسنى. With حسنى. Over here, حسنى was حائط له. A garden that belonged to him. فقال هي لك. The man said, okay, take it. Okay, so he sold him the whole garden for that one date palm tree. فأتى أبو الدحداء إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. So Abu Dahda, he came to the Prophet ﷺ, وقال يا رسول الله, O Messenger of Allah, اشتريها مني بنخلة في الجنة. Buy it from me. Buy it from me for a date palm tree in paradise. قال نعم والذي نفسي بيده. فقال هي لك يا رسول الله. The Messenger of Allah said, نعم. He said, والذي نفسي بيده, in the one in whose hand is my soul. He said, هي لك يا رسول الله. It belongs to you, O Messenger of Allah. فدعا النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم جار الأنصاري. So the Prophet ﷺ, now he called the neighbor of the Ansari man, the one who the dates kept falling, right? فقال خذها. So he told now the neighbor, take the date palm tree. Now your kids can eat from it, and there's no guilt and there's no issue, and your neighbor can't complain because it doesn't belong to him, it belongs to you. فنزلت والليل إذا يغشى إلى آخر السورة في بستان أبي الدحداء وصاحب النخلة. So he says, this narration says that Surah Al-Layl was revealed regarding this incident, regarding the garden of Abu Dahda and the owner of that tree. فهمتم القصة? There's different narrations that mention different parts of this story, right? I believe after the death of Abu Dahda, the Prophet ﷺ would basically say how many, how would you translate this? How many lush, bunches of dates are waiting for Abu Dahda in paradise, right? And he would repeat this phrase a few times. But then he says, read عظيم at the end, والأكثر
والأكثر أن السورة نزلت في أبي بكر رضي الله عنه وروي ذلك عن ابن مسعود وابن عباس وعبد الله بن الزبير وغيرهم.
نعم. والأكثر أن سورة, the majority, meaning the majority of Mufassirin said the surah was revealed regarding Abu Bakr, right? But there's a narration, or there's some narrations that go back to some of the Sahaba that say it was revealed regarding that story of Abu Dahda. Okay?
So if the case was for Abu Dahda, would it then make it a Madani surah?
Good question. That's why the majority said it's
Abu
Bakr because it's Mecca, right? And that story is clearly Madani, right? Okay. Jay. Okay. You guys need a break? Need a break?
Yes.
Okay. 6-minute break till 9 o'clock, right? And we start Surah Al-Duha.
For Joe's class on Aqidah, for the homework, he wants us to ask our teachers questions. So do you mind answering?
That's what that email. Okay, someone sent me an email. I was like, I don't get it.
They're like personal questions. They're not really.
They're not really personal. They're just like questions that may bring back some memories.
Uh-huh.
So
You want to ask it?
the first one is what curriculum you use to first study Iman?
What curriculum did you first use to study Iman?
It's probably like I don't know, like
Yeah. What curriculum did I use?
Or like how were you taught?
yeah, like which book? What was the first thing you were taught?
Yeah.
That stuff.
I think the first time I was taught, I wasn't using a book. That's why I was confused with the question. The first time I was taught, I wasn't using a book. It was just like lectures. I'm just being, I think it was.
You spice it up a little.
I think it was Dr. Imad Bayoun. I think it was Dr. Imad Bayoun. I don't know if you guys know, but Dr. Imad is like a G, man. Like, he's been teaching since I can't remember how long, man.
Wow.
He's been giving durus. I remember attending his durus, 2004. He used to give a weekly lecture on Sundays at ICIE, Dr. Ahmed Sakar's place. No, sorry, I made up that. It's not ICE or something.
Educational Center.
Yes. IE, sorry, there we go. IEC, right? So I think I first learned it from him. And then I think Sheikh Muhammad Faqih. Sheikh Muhammad Faqih. So the first time I ever learned it wasn't using a curriculum.
Do you know like what book they perhaps use?
I don't think they didn't even mention. I think they were just using a wide range. Was that the only question?
The second and third question I had was what books what they were based on. Because there's no books.
So maybe like say, so you studied Iman here with these local scholars, but went to I guess Medina. What books did you study there?
Oh yeah, I guess like what was your first book on?
The first one we remember.
I want to say there's a small book that was called like Usul al-Iman or something.
Oh, that was in the lecture.
That was in the lecture.
Yeah.
Do you remember the author that the author?
That was in the lecture?
They were like
It was like he listed a bunch of books that are like sort of like primers for Aqidah.
But Usul al-Iman by who?
Feature this one, right?
Yeah, I know.
So that's what we have so far. Doing that thing in top of the Iman 2004.
Post
You know this book we're reading is right? By Qurtubi?
This one, yes.
Is it called Saflat? Is that what it's called or what is
I
it?
think they sent it to the chat.
Which one?
The book we're doing right now?
No. Safat Tafasir is something else. This
Okay.
is Tafsir al-Qurtubi.
And Safwa, are we going to do it later? Or is it throughout this
Later,
quarter?
later.
Like another quarter or just next few weeks?
Yeah, we're not going to do it this quarter.
Okay.
We're not going to do it this quarter.
This wasn't an assigned text.
But I did send
He
it.
did, yeah.
So I sent it to Hassan.
Yeah, Hassan
Should have sent it to you guys.
somewhere here.
So our main two texts are going to be this one and then Durus.
That's our main text. We just do this for supplemental reading. That's our main text. We just do this for supplemental reading to spice it up a bit.
Is this the 1,000-page one?
Because I feel like we get to know things like this.
I'll check right
It
now.
was real fun.
It's 586 pages.
Yeah.
Why would
she's often read.
Oh, he did write a book on this.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, this one.
I was gonna really the other one that he said is like the most, the best. Like,
الحكمة من القرآن.
Look at those little men.
No one?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, because this is, yeah, it's in the,
Just go to like docs. That'll be the second one.
in the media section, right?
Can all these be, all the stories we just heard can always be termed as
Yeah.
Zoom?
I only have one.
No, just anything.
Yes,
I guess I'll have to download.
but the main one is
Okay, yeah, that's probably
يعني Abu Bakr. Like there's
He's like, he's like, that's what about that.
No, I visit.
One more question. Where would you start to teach if you were teaching men? Where would you start?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? Why would
These aren't our questions.
Yeah. Where would you start to teach?
Yeah.
Like what, if you were teaching a class on Iman to young children, what book would you use?
What book would you use?
Or not a book.
I don't think I'd use a book.
You wouldn't use a book.
To young children?
Well, when I say book, like what would you base that
Like
on?
new, like people like who are new to the topic of Iman.
Yeah.
Where would you start?
Where would I start? With the belief in Allah.
But like from what source?
Yeah.
I think from a few different sources. Like I think from all over the place. Do you guys you guys get the difficulty in answering the question? Like I wouldn't be like, hey, that book, right? Like I think I would have to take from a few different places.
Any in particular?
That'd be all over the place, man.
So I feel like day one of like teaching Iman would be belief in Allah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
she had like a really hard time getting there.
In day two?
Matters how long day one was. Okay, let's go. Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. Okay. Surah Al-Duha. So much to mention. Do we leave out? Okay, I'll ask for your permission in advance, but we'll spend a little longer on Surah Al-Duha than perhaps maybe some of the other surahs, right? First of all, there's some of the Qurra, you took last year Ulum al-Quran and whatnot, there's different reciters and whatnot, right? Some of the Qurra, it was their practice, right? For example, if you're reading the Quran cover to cover, whether you're reviewing or you're reading to a sheikh, it was the practice of some Qurra that after you finish, وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَخْشَى, right? So you're reading Bismillah وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَخْشَى, right? Okay? But then after you finish, right? وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَخْشَى, you say, Allahu Akbar Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wal-Duha wal-Layli إِذَا سَجَى. You finish wal-Duha, you say, Allahu Akbar Bismillah Alam Nashrah, until the end. Fahimtum? Like as you're reciting from cover to cover, once you finish وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَى, then you get to the end, you say Allahu Akbar Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wal-Duha wal-Layli إِذَا سَجَى. You finish the surah, Allahu Akbar Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim Alam Nashrah Laka Sadrak.
Wait, and also
Till the end, till Surah An-Nas.
so from Layl until Nas.
From Layl until Nas, and I'll get to it, right? But you get the practice?
So they're adding Allah.
No, it's outside of Salah.
And they're adding Allah.
They're adding Allahu Akbar
To every surah after it.
to every surah, okay?
Who used to do this?
Some of the Qur'an, right? But the kayfiyya of this, right? The how of it is slightly deferred upon. Even those that say you do it, some say you do it beginning at Surah Al-Duha, right? Others say that you do it after Duha finishes. Get it? So some say after وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَى ends, Allahu Akbar Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Then you end duha. Some say no, actually when you end duha, then it starts. Allahu Akbar Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alam nashrah laka sadrak.
So
Okay.
it's basically like whether the Allahu Akbar comes before or after the surah.
Yeah,
So
that's-
like with Nas, does that differ whether you say Allahu Akbar before or after Nas?
No, you wouldn't say anything after Nas. Yeah. The difference is, does it start
Okay.
at the beginning of, right? Or does it start at the beginning of Alam Nashrah, technically? Okay? But no, after Nas you'd be done, right? Like even when in Egypt, when I was reciting to my teacher and I got to, right, after months and months, I got to the end, right? When I got there, he was like, no. I did it and he was like, la, Allahu Akbar Bismillah. So I did Allahu Akbar Bismillah wa duha. Then I was like, Bismillah. He's like, la, Allahu Akbar Bismillah. Right? Till the end, okay? And sometimes even if you like, for example, if you find a recitation of like cover to cover, right? You'll find that as they go, right? They'll do this, right? Some have claimed that it is a sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, okay? Now, generally Surah Al-Duha, right? The reason of revelation is, we'll talk about that in a second. But what is mentioned is that Surah Al-Duha, it was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ after revelation had been cut off for an amount of time. What that amount of time was is something that's differed upon. Whether it was, some say even it was months, and perhaps that's far-fetched, right? Some say it was weeks and it was number of days, 40 days, 25 days, 15 days. You find a variety of opinions, right? And the Quraysh, they they basically accused, or they found this a way to mock the Prophet ﷺ. They said that your shaitan has left you, right? Ibn Kathir rahimahullah even mentions, interestingly enough, some narrations where Khadija radiallahu anha, she said as a way of not mocking the Prophet ﷺ, but as a way of like showing sadness and grief that perhaps your Lord has left you, right? Even Khadija radiallahu anha, like there's some narration to suggest that, right? So when the Prophet ﷺ revealed or received the revelation of Surah Al-Duha, he was so happy and overjoyed, he did takbir, Allahu Akbar. That's where they say the sunnah came from. Fahimtum? Right? Because when I was first saw that, I was like, hadi bid'ah. Who brought this? Right? Then you learn classical books, no, this is the reason they say, right? So they would do this. Yes?
This cut off of revelation, is it what happened in the beginning? Right after he was...
Yeah, this is in the beginning portion. Okay?
So should we do this?
So what about
Allah, I don't see an issue if you do it. Yani, if you do it, realize there's many righteous people that came before you that did it, right? And perhaps it's a sin. And if you don't do it, realize there's many righteous people that came before you and didn't do it, right? Ana amilu ilayhi, like I lean towards it because my teacher taught it to me. But that's a level of bias. Let's go ahead.
what about those who say that it was Muzammil and Mudaththir?
This is not talking about the second revelation, just saying that there was a period of where revelation was cut off. This is not saying this is the second revelation.
Okay.
Do you understand?
So, but for the second one, there was also a period where there was like no.
But not that long of a period.
Okay.
Okay.
For the second
Okay.
one.
So, So he says. Let's read. This is. I changed it now. This is Ibn Kathir rahimahullah. Okay. This is Tafsir Ibn Kathir. Okay. Okay. Let's read from the first line, where it says قال. Third to last word. See it? Everyone see it? قال. عظيم. اقرأ.
قرأت على عكرمة بن سليمان وأخبرني أنه قرأ على إسماعيل بن
قسطنطين شبل بن عباد فلما بلغت. So this is someone saying that I read upon so and so who read upon so and so. Now he's saying فلما بلغت. So when I reached, اقرأ.
فلما بلغت والضحى قال لي
كبر
حتى تختم مع خاتمة كل سورة فإنا قرأنا على ابن كثير فأمرنا بذلك.
نعم. So this man, he says, فلما بلغت الضحى قال لي, right? قال لي, they both said to me, كبر, make takbir. حتى تختم مع خاتمة كل سورة. Like basically, make takbir at the end of, now each time you reach the end of every surah. فإنا قرأنا على ابن كثير فأمرنا بذلك. We all recited upon, this is not Ibn Kathir, the one whose tafsir work we're reading, but rather the Qari, right? Ibn Kathir. The Qari Ibn Kathir. You remember study Ulum al-Quran, one of them is called Ibn Kathir, right? Yes, Ibn Kathir al-Makki. فإنا قرأنا على ابن كثير فأمرنا بذلك. We read upon Ibn Kathir and he commanded us to do that, right? Continue. وأخبرنا
أنه قرأ على مجاهد فأمره بذلك.
وأخبرنا, and he informed us that he recited upon Mujahid. Mujahid is one of the great tabi'een, right? فأمره بذلك, and he's the one that told him to do that. Continue.
وأخبره مجاهد أنه قرأ على ابن عباس فأمره بذلك.
And Mujahid read upon Ibn Abbas, he told him to do it.
وأخبره ابن عباس أنه قرأ على أبي بن كعب فأمره بذلك. وأخبره أبي أنه قرأ على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فأمره بذلك.
Okay, so this is يعني the isnad he brings, right? Okay, then he says, right? Now this is not the strongest narration, right? But Ibn Kathir, he still mentions it, right? So he says, فَهَذِهِ سُنَّةٌ تَفَرَّدَ بِهَا أَبُو الْحَسَنِ أحمد بن محمد عبد الله البزي. This is a sunnah that only this man has, right? Al-Bazzi has narrated. من ولد القاسم البزة وكان إماما في القراءات. So he says, although this is the only man that's narrated this, he says this man was إماما في القراءات. He says this man was an imam, not just an ordinary man in qira'ah, right? He says فأما في الحديث فقد ضعفه أبو حاتم الرازي وقال لا أحدث عنه, right? As for the hadith itself, Abu Hatim al-Razi said, he said it's weak. He said لا أحدث عنه. But realize this is in the realm of tafsir and so on and so forth, so it doesn't take the same level of authenticity when we're dealing with like halal and haram, right? It's not to that same level, right? No.
So the Qari Ibn Kathir told this Ibn Kathir to recite.
No. Ibn Kathir is coming much later on, and he's just saying, hey, look at this narration.
Okay.
Right? No, Ibn Kathir is not the one narrating about. He says, we have narrated from the chain of Abul Hasan Ahmad, right? So he's just showing us, hey, I have this chain that goes back to so and so, right? That eventually goes back to Ibn Kathir al-Makki, the Qari, goes back to Mujahid, goes back to so on and so forth, right? فهمتم? Okay. حمزة اقرأ. ثم اختلف القراء.
ثم اختلف القراء في موضع هذا التفسير
وكيفيته. Okay, then he says then the qurra, right? They differed في موضع هذا التكبير, in the place of where this takbir should end. You know what he's talking about? What I told you guys. Does it happen at the beginning of duha or at the end? Okay? وكيفيته, and how it's done. Continue.
وقال بعضهم
والسلام.
يكبر من الآخر يكبر من الآخر والليل إذا يغشى.
So some of them said he makes takbir at the end of والليل إذا يغشى. أكمل.
وقال الآخرون من آخر والضحى.
وقال آخرون من آخر والضحى. And others they said from the end of والضحى, right? He says there's two things the Qurra differed upon. The mawdi' and the kayfiyya. The mawdi' is the place. The kayfiyya refers to how. Okay? So he already discussed the mawdi' now. Is it at the beginning of duha or at the end of duha? Clear? Mawdi' is done. Continue. وكيفية التكبير عند بعضهم
أن يقول الله أكبر
ويقتصر. Okay? وكيفية التكبير. How to do this takbir? He said some of them, they said the person says Allahu Akbar ويقتصر. يقتصر means they shorten, meaning that's all they say. Meaning, وَيَقْتَصِرُ, they summarize and they shorten, that's all they say. They just say Allahu Akbar, okay? Continue.
ومنهم من يقول الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر.
ومنهم من يقول الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر. يعني ولسوف يرضى الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والضحى والليل إذا سجى. Right? Or starting at the end of duha, you do this. Right? فهمتم? Okay? Dalen, read. Now he's going to explain why is it done. وذكر الفراء.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. قال المؤلف رحمه الله وذكر الفراء في
مناسبة التكبير.
في مناسبة التكبير من أول السورة الضحى أنه لما
تأخر الوحي.
تأخر الوحي عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وفترة تلك المدة ثم وفترة تلك المدة ثم جاءه الملك فأوحى إليه والضحى والليل إذا سجى السورة بتمامها كبر فرحا وسرورا وذكر الفراء. So فراء mentioned في مناسبة التكبير regarding the basically why is the takbir suitable here. من أول سورة الضحى, from the beginning of سورة الضحى, he says أنه لما تأخر الوحي عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, when the revelation was basically delayed from the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, وفترة تلك المدة. فترة over here means like it ended. This مدة, this period of time, it ended. Okay? ثم جاءها الملك, and then the angel came to him. فأوحى إليه, and he revealed to him. والضحى والليل إذا سجى, the surah. السورة بتمامها, the entire surah, right? كبر فرحا وسرورا. The Prophet ﷺ, he made takbir out of enjoyment and happiness. Clear? But then he says ولم يروي بإسناد يحكم عليه بصحة ولا ضعف. And there's no isnad that you can, he hasn't narrated it with any isnad that you can say it's authentic or it's weak. فالله أعلم. So Ibn Kathir says الله أعلم, Allah knows best. Right?
Over here, as-surata bitamamiha, what is it mentioned?
أوحى إليه السورة. He revealed to him السورة. فهمت? Yeah. Don't get confused by what's in the middle. فأوحى إليه والضحى والليل إذا سجى السورة بتمامها. It's the مفعول به. فهمتم? Okay. جيد. Okay. So okay. Regarding the reason of revelation, right? So there's a few things that's mentioned, right? The most common thing that's mentioned is that the revelation was cut off or he did not receive revelation for a period of time. So as I mentioned, the mushrikun, they began to mock him, right? One person that's commonly mentioned in a few narrations is Jamil. Jamil is the wife of Abu Lahab, right? So she said, "Ma ara shaytanuka illa qad tarakaka." I don't see except that shaitan has abandoned you, right?
Okay, so for example over here, you guys see قال الإمام أحمد. Right, we're just going to skip down to the second line where it says اشتكى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فلم يقم ليلة أو ليلتين. What's that mean? اشتكى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فلم يقم ليلة أو ليلتين.
اشتكى complain.
Yeah.
This is the Prophet complained. And so he didn't get up a night or two.
Yeah, I need you to read into
With that he didn't.
that اشتكى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فلم يقم ليلة أو ليلتين. Huh?
He was sick.
He was sick. يعني he was complaining يعني من ألم. He was going through some type of pain. فلم يقم ليلة أو ليلتين. So he didn't get up for prayer, meaning tahajjud, either a night or 2 nights. فأتت امرأة. So a woman, she came. فقالت يا محمد ما أرى شيطانك إلا قد تركك. ما أرى شيطانك إلا قد تركك. I don't see except that your shaitan has left you. Okay? فأنزل الله عز وجل والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى. Okay? This is the narration in Bukhari and Muslim. Read, Maryam. You see the paragraph? It's the second line where it says أبطأ. You see it? Read. أبطأ.
أبطأ
جبريل
على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال المشركون
ودع
محمد فأنزل الله والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى.
نعم. أبطأ جبريل عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Like أبطأ means to do something slowly. So like basically, once again, they're showing that a period of time passed where Jibreel did not come to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. فقال المشركون ودع محمد. بمعنى ودع محمد. Mona?
Bid farewell.
Muhammad has been bid farewell. Passive. He has been bid farewell. Okay? فأنزل الله. So Allah sent down والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى. Right?
What did you say after that?
Huh? To do something slowly. Or to be delayed in this sense. Yeah, to delay.
بطيء.
أبطأ. نعم بطيء. بطيء. The opposite of سريع. سريع بطيء. Like one of the Lisan Quran words.
Yeah.
No? There's also something mentioned, you find it mentioned, Qurtubi mentions it, Ibn Kathir mentions that the Prophet ﷺ, he basically was, basically someone threw rocks at him, right? And it caused him a lot of pain, his finger began to bleed, right? And some tie that back to perhaps it was so much pain, that's why he didn't get up laylatan aw laylatain for tahajjud, right? And this caused the Prophet ﷺ a lot of pain, he didn't get up. And then they said, this woman said, oh, I don't see except that your shaitan has left you, right? But it seems like the majority of Mufassirin, they just went with, like, look, the general, that the Prophet ﷺ was delayed, right? For a period of time, or revelation was delayed for a period of time, and then they mocked him, and then this revelation came down, right? Where did it go? When we read Surah Al-Duha, I know I saw it here. When we took in this Surah Al-Duha, right? The first thing, Sababun Nuzul, right? It said, مرض النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet ﷺ became sick. فلم يقم لصلاة الليل ليلة أو ليلتين. Prophet ﷺ didn't get up for tahajjud 1 night or 2 nights, right? So this is they tie this back to, right? The Prophet ﷺ, something happening, someone throwing basically rocks at his finger, right? Or throwing rocks at him and it striking his finger and him bleeding, right? And they say perhaps the pain was so much, this is why he didn't get up for a night or 2 nights, right? Fahimtum? Yes? Yes.
Could the logic also be like, was not fast, but like, kind of like, was upset about that?
It's not mentioned anywhere. At least where I read it, I couldn't find anything like that. No.
Why does a woman come and tell him that shaitan has left him? Like what's...
Because he's claiming to be a prophet. They know that he's saying he's receiving revelation, right? So they're accusing him of being a madman and a sorcerer and so on and so forth. And they say that he's receiving revelation from not Allah but shaitan. So he says that your shaitan has left you.
And then right after that, the revelation comes.
It seems like this incident is not the delay that happened in the beginning of the revelation, right? Maybe it happened
Yeah, this is
when the persecution started.
Okay. Okay. You're gonna have to jump because he mentioned some cool stuff right here. Okay. Now I just jumped, okay, to Ibn Qurtubi. Okay, so Allah begins this surah by mentioning وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. So we talked about the reason of revelation. We're done, okay? وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. Allah swears by duha, right? We've taken duha before, وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا. It's referring to that morning. So Allah is referring to the morning, وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى, and by the night, إِذَا سَجَى. We said saja means when it becomes really dark and calm. Okay? So the apparent is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to the day and the night. Right? The timing of the day and the timing of the night. Okay? But why? Or what does it even mean? Okay? Read, Mona. وقال قتادة
وجعفر الصادق أقسم بالضحى الذي كلم الله فيه موسى وبليلة
معراج. Continue, أكملي.
وقيل هي الساعة التي خر فيها الصخرة سجدا بيان قوله تعالى وأن يحشر الناس ضحى.
نعم. قال قتادة ومقاتل وجعفر الصادق أقسم بالضحى, that Allah swore by the ضحى الذي كلم الله فيه موسى, the ضحى in which Allah spoke to Musa. So والضحى, Allah, they're saying that Allah is swearing by not just ضحى but that ضحى when he spoke to Musa. والليل إذا سجى is referring to ليلة المعراج, the night of Isra wal Mi'raj. Do you get it? يعني, so you can think about this when you're saying وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. He's referring to Allah speaking to Musa and then Allah speaking to the Prophet ﷺ. فهمتم? وقيل, and it has been said, هي الساعة التي خر فيها السحرة سجدا. This is going back to الضحى, right? Rather, it's not when Allah spoke to Musa, but it's rather the hour in which the Sahara, they kharra, they fell in prostration. Huh? In Surah Taha. You know the magicians, Musa, right? So they say the morning here is referring to the moment where the magicians, they fell into prostration. Because in Surah Al-Duha, Allah says, وَأَنْ يُحْشَرَ النَّاسُ ضُحَى. Talking about that time and that appointment, it was at the time of duha. Fahimtum? Like they didn't just create this stuff, these opinions, right? They have some basis, right? Fahimtum?
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Yeah. وَأَنْ يُحْشَرَ النَّاسُ ضُحَى. So they said that it's referring to where, because these are both great moments. So it's saying Allah's not just referring to time, right? But they're saying, hey, perhaps it's even events that happened at these specific times, right? So when the magicians fell into prostration, and then the other would be Laylat al-Mi'raj. Okay? Okay.
So the duha does not refer to when Allah spoke to Musa, or it also can refer to that time?
So even whether it's when Allah spoke to Musa or when the magicians fell into prostration, they're saying, look, وَالضُّحَى, go with the most simple and most authentic, Allah is referring to by the morning. But Other mufassirin have said, no, it's not just any morning or the morning he's swearing by, but it's perhaps specific mornings. Perhaps it's when he spoke to Musa. Perhaps it's when the magicians fell into prostration. Okay. Okay. J. Okay, I'm going to show you this. Okay, Jayyid. Okay, what else can be said? Qurtubi brings some, I'll say wild, he brings some good stuff, right? I don't like wild. Okay. وَيُقَالُ Muna, اقرأي. وَيُقَالُ
والضحى والليل إذا سجى يعني
عباده
الذين يعبدونه في وقت الضحى وعباده الذين يعبدونه بالليل إذا أظلم.
So Allah is not just swearing by time, but rather He's swearing by His slaves that are worshipping Him at the time of Duha, and He's worshipping Him, His slaves that are worshipping Him at the time of the Layl, when it becomes dark. Okay? So you can think about all of this when you next time you recite Surah Al-Duha, wal-Duha wal-Layli idha saja, time and the magicians and Musa and the worshippers that are worshipping Him in the day and the night. Okay? The reason we do this is so that you get like tafsir is not just but sometimes there's a lot of richness that's missed out in the English translation. Okay? He's not done. Okay. Read the second one. وَيُقَالُ I was asking Maryam. Sorry, I didn't say anything.
يعني النور الذي في قلوب العارفين كهيئة النهار الليل والليل إذا سجى يعني السواد الذي في قلوب الكافرين كهيئة الليل فأقسم الله عز وجل بهذه الأشياء.
Okay, translate, Mona.
And it is said Duha means the light that's in the hearts of
the people that know, meaning the believers, the righteous believers. كَهَيْئَةِ النَّهَارِ is like the day because of how much light there is.
What's kahayya?
Kahayya, like the form, the shape, right? The form over here, right? Continue.
And وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى means the blackness or the darkness that's in the hearts of the disbelievers. That's like the night. So Allah swore by these things.
فهمتم? Clear? Okay. وبذلك انتهينا. نستأنف غدا بإذن الله. خلاص? Who can summarize what we took? وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. Forget سبب النزول, right? But وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. So either just by the time, right? One by the time, or the time, the events that happened, which would either be the morning is referring to when Allah spoke to Musa, or when the magicians prostrated, right? And the night is referring to the ascent to the heaven, right? And then
when the believers pray at night.
And then so the morning and the night is referring to when the believers they worship in the morning and in the night. That's the reason the two times are mentioned. And then the light in the heart of the believers and the darkness in the heart of the disbelievers.
Where did you get all those different interpretations from?
Sometimes he mentions. Well, let me just. Does he mention any of them? He does mention some of them. Come on. So he's collecting them from different mufassirin that which has been said before him, right? So many times they went into why did Allah swear by these times, or trying to figure out what's the significance, right? None of them said yaqinan. This is with certainty what Allah is referring to, but said, hey, these maybe are possible meanings why Allah referred to these particular times, right? Is it just that Allah is referring to time, or is there, more to it than this time? Is there a lot of it is doing like tadabbur and tafakkur of the Quran, like, hey, are these, right? But these are not, he's not bringing opinions of people that just like sat down from the Quran, like, hey, what does this mean? But it was like scholars of tafsir that like thought about this, and they're like, hey, what does this mean?
Sheikh Ahmed, have you ever heard any of the Orientalists knock the fact that there could be so many reasons of revelation, it might not be certain that any of them are true? Is that something that they have picked on for authenticity of the book?
You're talking about reason of revelation.
Reasons for context, yeah.
Context.
Basically, the background for why things were revealed. If that's always variable, and people would, I'm just playing devil's advocate. If there's so many things that might have happened, how do you know if anything happened at all?
I never have, but I think a response to that, right? I get it. They can question the authenticity of the Quran. That's a different argument, right? But the reason of revelation, we can simply say, if we want, okay, none of them happened. Doesn't change anything for us. Like,
right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? We could just simply say, hey, none of it happened. These were just verses that were revealed.
So why then they'll say if you know that it's preserved in text and preserved as handed down, why wasn't the contextual revelation reason preserved also?
Why would the same reason we have that argument actually goes against them, because we as Muslims developed the concept of codifying hadith.
Mm-hmm.
We classified our own hadith as weak and authentic and right. So we're just being truthful with our tradition. That, hey, we don't. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we could use that argument against him. Like, hey, we could have just been like, hey, all of it is true, right? But we codified our own science.
This is essentially why people, when you mentioned that word Satan, brought back like the satanic verses.
No.
Because the funny thing is, the things that people say today is the same thing people said in the Prophet's time. Satan has visited you, touched you, all those things. So.
You know Ibn Taymiyyah's opinion about the satanic verses? No.
So Imam Qurtubi mentions it, right? Is that true?
He mentions what?
Imam Qurtubi mentions that satanic story.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
You brought up Qurtubi for a second, right? You have.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
but the satanic, we're talking about. Like, does he bring it up into? I don't know if he brings
his
it,
discussion,
but he probably does. He probably does. I wouldn't be surprised he doesn't, right? But basically, to summarize, Ibn Taymiyyah has no problem accepting the issue of the satanic verses. He says, actually, rather, it shows the truthfulness of the Messenger. He flips the argument. Look, without a doubt, he goes against the majority, the overwhelming majority here, right? But he completely just flips the argument.
Interesting. So it's like almost we want to be transparent and let them know we're not hiding anything.
Basically, right? And even when it comes to the reason of revelation, hey, we're saying the Quran is preserved. We're not saying that the context and the reasons of revelation is preserved.
Mm-hmm.
We never claimed that, right? Once it, like, right? So we codified hadith. We're saying a certain hadith.
Yeah, I think they want to generalize and throw everything in one bucket.
Okay.
So does everybody? Oh, okay. So you have a big one too. And then
Just seminary school. Yeah. It's like 2 hours like proper training.
How are you?
How are you?
Once we finish the Farnawi, are we just going to be like focusing entirely on Huduri?
We'll do a lot of Quduri, but we'll also do a lot of Arabic practice.
Oh, okay.
A lot of verb conjugating and writing sentences and some fun stuff. Some passages here and there and like analyzing it.
Okay.
So just a lot of Arabic practice.
Okay. That's good.
Alright, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya'i wal Mursaleen, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin ila yawmiddin, amma ba'd. So Alhamdulillah, we have completed the first 4 ahadith from this amazing collection of Imam An-Nawawi rahimahullah. Again, the expectation is that you should be able to read every hadith with the proper vowels. You should be able to translate them. You should be able to analyze and explain why a word is marfu', why it's mansoob, why it's majroor. And you should also be able to explain the hadith as well. So today we will do most likely hadith number 5, and if there is some time, hadith number 6 as well. So al-hadith al-khamis, go ahead and read Bismillah.
عن أم المؤمنين أم عبد الله عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من أحدث في أمرنا هذا ما ليس منه فهو رد. رواه البخاري ومسلم وفي رواية لمسلم من عمل عملا ليس عليه أمرنا فهو رد.
So from the mother of the believers, Aisha radiallahu anha, who said that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Man ahdatha fi amrina hada ma laysa min." Right, whoever introduces something new into this matter of ours that is not from it, فَهُوَ رَدْ, then it is rejected. Right, whoever introduces something new into this matter, into this affair of ours that is not from it, then it is rejected. So the word man, right? The word man in the Arabic language, what type of word is it? It could be from asma wal istifham, but over here this is not a question. This is a statement. So what type of man is this? Whoever. So what type of ism is that called? Chapter 20 from Lisan al-Quran. Mawsul. Right, this is from al-asma'ul mawsula. Man bima'na alladhi. Right, this is man, which means alladhi. Right, ahdatha. هل هذا فعل ماض أو مضارع؟ ماض. Good. What are my defaults? أحدث. The مضارع.
أحدث يحدث.
Good. أحدث. The مضارع is يحدث والأمر منه أحدث. Right. أحدث يحدث أحدث والمصدر إحداث. Right, the word ahdatha literally means to invent or introduce something new. Ihdath would be like a new, what's the word I'm looking for? Like an invention, right? Something that's newly invented, newly created, something that's newly introduced. Ihdath. So ahdatha yuhdithu ahdith ihdathan. So man ahdatha, whoever introduces something new. Fi amrina hada, in this affair of ours, in this matter of ours. And the amr here is referring to the deen. It is referring to Islam. Ma laysa min, that which is not from it. Fahuwa raddun, then it will be rejected. Or it could mean he will be rejected. Both interpretations exist. Right. Fahuwa could be referring to the al-amrul muhdath, the newly invented matter. Or it could be referring to al-muhdith, the one who introduced it. Right? رواه البخاري ومسلم. It's narrated by both Imam al-Bukhari and Imam Muslim. وفي رواية لمسلم, and in a version for Imam Muslim. The wording is different, the meaning is the same. من عمل عملا, whoever does an act, ليس عليه أمرنا, that our affair is not upon, فهو رد, then it will be rejected. نعم. Alright, so the narrator of this hadith is al-Mu'mineen, Abdullah, Aisha radiyallahu anha, the mother of the believers, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. She was given the nickname Abdullah by the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Abdullah is the name of her nephew, the son of her sister Asma. Aisha radiyallahu anha, the daughter of Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu, she is the sister of Asma. Asma had a son named Abdullah. So the Prophet ﷺ gave her this nickname, Abdullah, because al-khalatu kal-um. The Prophet ﷺ has told us that the khala, right, the maternal aunt, kal-um, is just like the mother. Right, the Prophet ﷺ married her while he was in Mecca, and she moved in with him in the second year after Hijrah. And when the Prophet ﷺ left this world, she was only 18 years old. She lived for 40 years after the Prophet ﷺ left this world, and she passed away in the year 57. And Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh performed her funeral prayer. And she was one of the most knowledgeable companions. The senior companions would come to her to ask questions. 2,210 ahadith have been narrated from her, and 174 of those appear in both Bukhari and Muslim. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with her. And there's a hadith that describes that she was the most beloved person to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That once a companion came to the Prophet sallallahu and said, Ya Rasulullah, who is the most beloved person to you? And that person expected the Prophet sallallahu to say him. And he said, my wife Aisha. He says, okay, maybe I'm number 2. He says, then who? He says, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, her dad. Then he says, okay, you know what, I'm going to stop here. She was amongst the Sahaba that were known to give fatwa. So it is narrated, or it is said that when the Prophet ﷺ left this world, there were over 100,000 companions. Right? Over 100,000 companions. Some put it at like 120,000 or 120 some odd thousand companions of the Prophet ﷺ. And out of those 120,000, there was only maybe 130, 140 that were known to actually give fatwa. Right? They were known to be scholars amongst the companions. Companions would come to them to ask questions. And among those, there were 7 that were known to give more fatwas than others. Right? They were like the authorities. And among them was Aisha radiallahu anha. She was amongst the authorities of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She was someone who was well respected and widely known, not only for her knowledge of the Sunnah, but her understanding, her fiqh. Not only was she what would they say, a muhadditha, she was also a faqihah.
Was she the only woman from the 7?
Yeah.
So, Sheikh, I recently heard in Pakistan that somebody told me women can't be muftiyas. They can't give fatwas.
Tell them Jazakallah khair. Tell them the mother of the believers was a muftiyah. Na'am.
Not quite sure. Why would people even raise that objection?
Ask Pakistani people.
I think it comes from it being a highly patriarchal society. Culture.
Okay, culture.
It has nothing to do
So
with...
it's not academic?
No, there's no academic discussion regarding... as a matter of fact, the Hanafis would be the most lenient in that, where they say that the females can even be qudat, they can be judges.
And others say they can't?
There's a discussion regarding if they can be a judge or not. But the Hanafis say, yeah, there's no problem with a woman being a judge. So for her being a mufti, no problem whatsoever. You got the knowledge, you have the prerequisites, you have the skills. Gender does not matter. Alright, so this particular hadith, it is considered to be an explanation of one of the foundational teachings of Islam. And as we covered earlier, Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, he said there are 3 ahadith that form the foundations of Islam. Right? One of them, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. The other being this one, مَنْ أَحْدَثَ فِي أَمْرِنَا هَذَا مَا لَيْسَ مِنْ فَهُوَ رَدٌّ. And the third is the next hadith, which is الْحَلَالُ بَيِّنْ وَالْحَرَامُ بَيِّنْ. That the permissible is clear and the impermissible is clear. So Imam Ahmad rahimahullah would say that for a person's practice of Islam, these 3 ahadith are the foundations. Right? These 3 particular narrations form the foundations of one's practice of Islam. So this hadith, it provides a scale with which external acts are to be weighed. Right? It gives us a scale for which to weigh our external acts, just as the hadith of intention provides the scale with which internal acts are to be weighed. Just as every deed that is not done for the sake of Allah will not be rewarded, similarly every deed that is not upon the guidance of the Quran and Sunnah will be rejected. In Imam An-Nawawi rahimahullah, he says that all Muslims should memorize this hadith. It is given so much importance because it deals with the concept of bid'ah, innovation, as opposed to sunnah. And just as Imam Nawawi said that everyone should memorize it, I too also say all of you need to memorize it. Okay. Everyone should memorize this hadith. It's a one-liner. Right? من أحدث في أمرنا هذا ما ليس من فهو رد.
Just to retrace those numbers, those you said over 100,000 Sahaba, and how many gave fatwa? Over 170?
130, 140.
140.
And out of those 130, 140, about 7 of them were like mukthirin fil fatwa. They used to give a lot of fatwa. Among them were Umar ibn al-Khattab, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Ibn Abbas, Aisha radiallahu anha. And it is said that they would give so much fatwa that each of them, you could compile a book out of their fatwa, like a thick book out of their opinions. And they're found in hadith works like the Muwatta of Imam Malik, or the Musannaf of Ibn Abi Shayba, and the Musannaf of Abd al-Razzaq, you can actually find their opinions regarding certain matters in those works.
Sorry, so you said there were
30 and 40.
no, so about 100,000 Sahabis at the time of the death of the Prophet.
120,000.
And you said that 130 were able to actually give fatwas.
No, they were known to give fatwa. They're like well known.
This is the time, the time of the death of the Prophet. So Aisha was able to give fatwas at that time? Oh, wow.
All of them. They're the ones who took up the mantle of teaching afterwards, right? After the Prophet left this world, who conveyed Islam to the people? The companions.
She was 18.
Mm-hmm.
But companions, are these people that the Prophet has just met, including them, or is it people that the Prophet has spent a lot of
So
time
a Sahabi is defined as anyone who met the Prophet ﷺ while having faith and died upon faith. That is the technical definition of a Sahabi. And obviously some companions spent more time with the Prophet ﷺ than others. And those that were known to give more fatwa spent more time with the Prophet ﷺ. Alright, so this hadith is also considered to be amongst what we call Jawami'ul Kalim. Right, it's also known to be Jawami'ul Kalim, meaning it's amongst those concise yet comprehensive statements of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's clarifying the concept and consequence of anything new to the religion. Right, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is clarifying and explaining the consequence of adding anything new to this religion. So whoever introduces anything new to the religion and practice of Islam that is not a part of it, that new or innovative thing will be rejected. My screen is tripping out.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so the word that the Prophet ﷺ used is ahdatha. Right, the word used by the Prophet ﷺ is ahdatha. Man ahdatha fi amrina hada. And the word ahdatha literally means to invent, to bring forth, to produce, to create, or originate. Right, ahdatha, if you look it up in the dictionary, it is defined as to invent, to bring forth, to produce, create, or originate. And the verbal noun from this verb ihdath means an invention or innovation, which is the linguistic meaning of the word bid'ah. So linguistically, the word bid'ah means ihdath. Right? Linguistically, the word bid'ah means ihdath, an innovation. Anything that is considered to be a reprehensible innovation or bid'ah will be rejected. So linguistically, the word bid'ah is defined as something new or an innovation, regardless of whether it is related to religious affairs or worldly affairs. Now technically, right, within the scope of the Sharia, scholars define it as a religious innovation. So they add the qaid, they add this like restriction of religion. So a religious innovation. Something new related to religious affairs that was not done in the time of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the rightly guided caliphs, and the early generations with the intention of gaining more reward. And despite being a need for it in the time of the Messenger of Allah ﷺ and his companions, it was not implemented verbally, practically, explicitly, or implicitly. I don't have that on the screen, but that is one of the definitions that has been provided by the scholars. I'll repeat it. They say something new related to religious affairs. Something new related to religious affairs that was not done in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the rightly guided khulafa, and the early generations. And what they mean by that is the first three generations of Islam, what is known as as-salafus salihun, the rightly guided predecessors. Meaning the generation of the companions, or the Prophet, the companions, the tabi'un. Those three generations are known as as-salaf. So this new act was not done during these times, right? With the intention of gaining more reward. So meaning it's a religious thing. Right? It's a religious practice. And despite being a need for it in the time of the Messenger of Allah and his companions, it still was not implemented verbally, practically, explicitly, or implicitly. It has also been defined as any innovation, specifically any new act or form of worship that does not have a basis in the Quran, Sunnah, or Ijma'. So any innovation, any new act or form of worship. So important wording, right? Any new act of worship that does not have a basis in the Quran, in the Sunnah, or Ijma'. Any new ritual act that was not around during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the companions, or the successors, that goes against the Quran, Sunnah, and Ijma'. So based upon these definitions, the scholars mention that in order for an act to be classified as bid'ah, it has to fulfill two conditions. Right? The first condition is that it has no basis, proof, or evidence for it. It is not part of the deen. Has no basis, there's no proof, whether explicit or implicit, for it. And then secondly, a person believes that it is part of the deen. Right? It's a new act, it's a new form of ritual devotional worship that has no foundation, no basis in the Quran or Sunnah, or even in the first 3 generations of Islam. It was something that was not practiced as being part of what? Religion. As a devotional act or a ritual act of worship. That's condition number 1. The second condition is that person is doing that new act and they're doing it believing that it is what? Sunnah. Believing that it is part of the deen. So an example, a common example that people give, at least in the modern era, is this whole concept of Quran Khani, right? Or Khatmul Quran at the death of someone. And when someone passes away, people get together in the masjid and each of them recites a portion of the Quran and they do a khatma, they do a complete recital, and with the intention of sending that reward to the deceased. So people say this is bid'ah. And you got the bid'ah police and saying this is bid'ah, this is haram, and you're destroying the religion, whatever. Right? So is it really a bid'ah or not? Is it really a bid'ah or not?
If you believe that it's part of the deen.
There you go. So it's a form, it's a new act of worship that perhaps was not done by whom? The Sahaba. It was not done by the Prophet ﷺ himself. Right? So that condition is there. But is it something that doesn't have a basis in the religion? It has a basis. Is reading Quran something wrong? Can you send reward to some people? But yes, generally, Jumhur says yes. Right? And as long as someone's doing it not thinking that it's sunnah or wajib, there's no problem with it whatsoever. Make sense?
The definition that you gave earlier, despite there being a need for it and it wasn't practiced, what does despite there being a need for it mean?
That there was some sort of context or scenario or need or something arise where it should have been done and it wasn't. So the fact that it wasn't done means that it's not part of the religion.
Do you think, why wouldn't you just limit it to the Prophet's generation? Why do we have to extend it to this?
Because of khairul quruni qarni. Because of the hadith that says the best 3 generations are mine, the one that follows it, the one that follows it. And because he says, alaykum bi sunnati wa sunnati khulafa'i rashidin al-mahdiyyin.
So what are examples of ritual acts that didn't come from the first generation but came from the next 2?
The tarawih in jama'ah, right, under one imam. The compilation of the Quran. The compilation of sunnah even, right, of ahadith. None of these were done during the life of the Prophet ﷺ.
So Sheikh, about the Quran Khani thing, so if you're participating, if you're invited to something like that and you go and you participate, would that be considered as supporting the bid'ah? Or?
No, it's not bid'ah. It's not bid'ah. It's not a bid'ah. It's only a bid'ah if someone believes it's like part of the sunnah to do this. Right?
That you have to do it for every person who does.
Or you think that it's part of the religion. Like this is a religious sanctioned act of worship.
Sanctioned. Okay, that makes sense.
So if, for example, let me use an example. If the people who are doing it and setting it up do believe that it's part of the deen, can you still participate in it, you yourself not believing that?
Exactly. Right? I mean, there's certain sensitivities at the time of death where oftentimes that moment is not a moment to correct people. Right? The people are emotional, they're like going through some trauma. You don't want to be like the religious police at that time. Right? Wait for the appropriate time, appropriate moment. Then you can teach them later on. If they invite you and you don't show up, they're like, man, the sheikh didn't even come. It's problematic. You have to do things with hikmah. Wisdom. Right? Not just with hikmah, but like as long as there's leeway in it, there's permissibility in it, do things with wisdom and slowly correct people. You can't correct people all of a sudden. Process. You gotta trust the process. Na'am.
What about something like 41 Yasin, stuff like that?
So they say specifying a number for certain things and then you thinking that it has to be done that many times is also a bid'ah. If you think that's the sunnah, then that's what you have to do. But for some people, like, there's these awrad that exist. And these awrad oftentimes, like litanies, right? And oftentimes these are based off of a person's personal experiences. That I recited this verse, 10 times and this happened to me. Maybe if you do it 10 times, it can happen for you as well. But to think that's from the sunnah and to think that's part of the deen, that becomes problematic.
So is it okay to do acts on personal experiences? Because it worked last time, it might work later and you can...
Nothing wrong with it. As long as you don't think that this is what?
Part of the deen.
It's not like a legislated part. It's not mashru'. This isn't something that was legislated from the Quran or the Prophet ﷺ. But perhaps it can have this effect.
So if a student of deen wants to increase their adhkar and they start doing an extra dhikr that is not part of the sunnah, that's fine. Because
it's better to stick with the sunnah. Right? If the hadith mentions 33 times, 34 times, stick with that number. To go above and beyond that and to make that a regular habit could become bid'ah. I mean, there's a lot of, when it comes to the concept of bid'ah, right? Historically speaking, there's always been ifrat and tafrit. Right? Ifrat means like there's like excess, and tafrit means there's negligence. Right? So you find both extremes. Right? There's people that were like super like extreme, and everything that was new and everything that didn't have like an explicit text for it is classified as what? Bid'ah. And even things that have text but that might come from a weak hadith is bid'ah. Like your dhikr beads are bid'ah. Right? Or whatever else it may be. And then there were others that were extremely what? Lackadaisical. They're like, oh, it's a good thing. Bismillah. So as with any extremes, the truth is always somewhere in the middle. Right? So there should be a balanced approach. And when it comes to ritual acts of worship, when it comes to ritual devotional acts of worship, and oftentimes ritual devotional acts of worship are not rationally understood. Right? Why do I pray 2 rak'ahs instead of 3? Why do I pray 4 instead of 5? So when it comes to ritual acts of worship that have prescribed numbers and limits, you should stick to those. And just in ritual worship in general, stick to what is practiced by the first 3 generations. That would be erring on the side of caution.
So, sure, just one thing I want to clarify. So the definition that you said about bid'ah, its definition, that's, so fuqaha have a consensus on it, right? So this concept that tarawih could be a bid'ah, there's no basis for it because it started in the time of the Islam.
If anyone says tarawih is a bid'ah in a negative connotation, that person themselves is, mashallah, got some issues. Basically, you're accusing who? Not just Umar, the companions that then agreed with it.
I think just people don't know what bid'ah really is.
People don't know.
Sheikh, ifrat, it's with a ta or ta?
Ta.
And then tafrit is
Ta
ta.
as well.
Yeah, ta.
They both comes from the same root letters. One is afrata and the other is farrata.
Farrata. Afrat.
Ifrat or tafrit. Alright, so some of the major lessons and benefits from this particular hadith. Number one, Islam is submission and following, not innovating. That's what the word Islam means. Islam means you do what? You submit. Alright, so through this warning and teaching, the Prophet ﷺ has protected Islam from any distortions, changes, alterations, additions, and deletions. He has ensured that it remains unchanged by people. Because Islam came to change people, not to be changed by the people. And this is one of the reasons why there are numerous verses in the Quran explaining that success and salvation are in following the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ without adding or taking anything away. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the Prophet ﷺ, قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهِ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهِ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهِ. Say if you love Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Prophet ﷺ that tell your companions, إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهِ, that if you love Allah, فَاتَّبِعُونِي, then do what? Follow me. Right? And the only way of doing ittiba' of the Prophet ﷺ is following his what? His guidance, following his example, following his teachings. Right? فَاتَّبِعُونِي, if you do so, يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهِ, then Allah in turn will love you. وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ, He will forgive your sins. وَاللَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ, and Allah is the most forgiving, the most merciful. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says, قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي, no, that's not the verse. This is my path, leading straight, so follow it. And do not follow other ways, they will lead you away from it. This is what He commands you to do, so that you may refrain from wrongdoing. So highlighting the dangers of innovations in religion, the Prophet ﷺ would say the following in his sermons, that the best speech is the book of Allah, and the best guidance is the guidance of Muhammad ﷺ, and the worst practice is the introduction of new practices in Islam, and every bid'ah is a misguidance. Another version adds, and every misguidance is in the fire. Right? That opening khutbah, right? The opening part of the sermon. Good intentions alone are not enough. Good intentions alone are not enough. Alright, this hadith encompasses the second crucial aspect of the practice of Islam, which is ensuring that the outward performance of actions is correct. Sometimes people may think that it is enough to be sincere without making the effort to ensure that what they're doing is also correct. In addition to having a sincere intention, the action must also be performed properly in accordance with the example of the Prophet ﷺ and the guidelines of Islam. So in order for an act to be accepted, it has to fulfill two primary conditions: a sincere intention, and it has to be performed according to the guidelines of the Sharia. Okay, and then there's this whole classification and concept of al-bid'atul hasana wal-bid'atul sayyi'ah. Right, blameworthy innovations, al-bid'atul sayyi'ah, and praiseworthy innovations, or good innovations, al-bid'atul hasana. So every blameworthy innovation will be rejected, especially when it comes to acts of worship. At the same time, there are new things that don't go against the teachings, evidences, proofs, and principles of the Sharia, and are in fact supported by them and will not be rejected. So for example, the compilation of the Quran during the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Right? Linguistically, this is a bid'ah. This was something that was not done by whom? By the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the companions, according to their understanding and according to the circumstances, felt that there was a huge need to do this. That there was a huge need for it. And doing so does not go against any what? Established teaching from the Prophet ﷺ, nor the Quran. Nowhere did the Prophet say, don't do this ever. Right? It's supported by the Sharia in general. The codification of hadith. Right? Writing down a hadith and collecting them and compiling them into works. This was not done by whom? The Prophet ﷺ. Nor did he command it to be done. Right, the development and codification of all branches of Islamic studies, including the Arabic language and fiqh, usul al-fiqh, tafsir, and aqidah. And that is what scholars clarify and explain, that there are two types of new actions. Those that go against the teachings of the Sharia and are considered to be blameworthy innovations, and those that do not go against the Sharia and are considered to be useful and helpful. So Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah said, what has been innovated that goes against the Quran or Sunnah or consensus or a narration, then it is a misguided innovation. And whatever has been invented and doesn't go against any of these things, then it is a praiseworthy innovation. Make sense? Al-bid'atu sayyi'ah as opposed to al-bid'atu hasana.
So for al-bid'atu hasana, so can we say that the Sahaba and the Salaf can do that, but us right now, we shouldn't?
No, we can also do it as long as it doesn't go against the teachings of the Quran and Sunnah and their practices.
So is there an example of something that is more on time?
I don't know, digitizing all of our texts and turath and things like that.
Or printing.
Printing press,
That's not part
printing
of
books.
the, that's not an act of worship, is it?
It's like we worship, get reward for it. But it's not something that goes against what? The Sharia. It's something that will be supported by it. Alright. The last important lesson is that the religion of Islam is complete as it is. The religion of Islam is what? Complete as is. There's no need to add anything. And obviously you can't take anything away. So when a person says they are Muslim, it means that they have completely submitted to Allah with sincerity through devotion, worship, obedience, and servitude. It also means they have accepted Islam as a complete way of life. Islam is a perfect and complete religion. It does not need to be altered, changed, or reformed. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. Today I have perfected your religion for you, completed my blessing upon you, and chosen Islam as your religion. So Islam is complete and perfect as is, and it has its own theology, its own practices, rituals, morals, principles, ethics, and values. So there's no need to do what? There's no need to introduce some sort of new ritual practice or new belief. Nah. Alright. We can do the next one as well. Bismillah. Abdul Azim. اقرأ.
الحديث السادس عن عبد الله بن نعمان بن بشير رضي الله عنهما قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إن الحلال بين وإن الحرام بين وبينهما أمور مشتبهات لا يعلمهن كثير من الناس فمن اتقى الشبهات فقد استبرأ لدينه وعرضه ومن وقع في الشبهات وقع في الحرام كالراعي يرعى حول الحمى يوشك أن يرتع فيه ألا وإن لكل ملك حمى ألا وإن حمى الله محارمه ألا وإن في الجسد مضغة إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله ألا وهي القلب.
نعم رواه البخاري ومسلم. هذا حديث مهم جدا. This is a very very important hadith. So from Abu Abdullah An-Nu'man ibn Bashir radiyallahu anhuma who said, I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam saying, إِنَّ الْحَلَالَ بَيِّنٌ وَإِنَّ الْحَرَامَ بَيِّنٌ. Truly the lawful is clear and truly the unlawful is clear. وَبَيْنَهُمَا أُمُورٌ مُشْتَبِهَاتٌ لَا يَعْلَمُهُنَّ كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ. And between them are doubtful matters that many people do not know about. فَمَنِ اتَّقَى الشُّبُهَاتِ فَقَدْ اسْتَبْرَأَ لِدِينِهِ وَعِرْضِهِ. The one whoever avoids doubtful matters. Right? فَمَنِ اتَّقَى الشُّبُهَاتِ. Whoever avoids the doubtful matters, فَقَدْ اسْتَبْرَأَ لِدِينِهِ وَعِرْضِهِ. Clears themselves with respect to their religion and honor. Istabra'a, they have freed themselves, right? In terms of their deen and in terms of their honor. وَمَنْ وَقَعَ فِي الشُّبُهَاتِ And the one who falls into doubtful matters, وَقَعَ فِي الْحَرَامِ falls into the unlawful. كَالرَّاعِي يَرْعَى حَوْلَ الْحِمَى يُوشِكُ أَنْ يَرْتَعَ فِيهِ Similar to the shepherd who pastures around a sanctuary, all but grazing therein. Right? أَلَا وَإِنَّ لِكُلِّ مَلِكٍ حِمَى Truly every king has a sanctuary. أَلَا وَإِنَّ حِمَى اللَّهِ مَحَارِمُهُ And truly Allah's sanctuary is His prohibitions. أَلَا وَإِنَّ فِي الْجَسَدِ مُضْغَةً And truly in the body there is a piece of flesh. إِذَا صَلَحَتْ صَلَحَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّ If it is sound, then the entire body will be sound. وَإِذَا فَسَدَتْ فَسَدَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّ And if it becomes corrupt, the entire body becomes corrupt. Or if it becomes diseased, the entire body becomes diseased. أَلَا وَهِيَ الْقَلْبِ Truly it is the heart. Right, narrated by both Al-Bukhari and Muslim. So first and foremost, lugha, the grammar and the vocab. Right, inna, what type of harf is inna? حرف نصب وتوكيد. It makes the mubtada mansoob and it makes the khabar marfu'. The mubtada is not called ismu inna and the khabar is not called khabaru inna. What is my ismu inna here? Al-halala. That's why the word halal is mansoob, because it's the ismu inna. And what's the khabar of inna? Bayyinun. Right? Al-halal means what is lawful. Anything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam declared to be lawful is classified as al-halal. Right? وَإِنَّ الْحَرَامَ بَيِّن And the haram is, truly the haram or the unlawful is also clear. Bayyinun is the ism. Bayyinun is an ism. It comes from the root letters bayanun, which means to make something clear, to expose something, to clarify. So bayyinun means clear. Al-haram, there's a technical definition for haram, which is مَا نَهَى الشَّرْعُ عَنْهُ بِدَلِيلٍ قَطْعِيٍّ Whatever the sharia has prohibited with a definitive proof. Right? وَبَيْنَهُمَا أُمُورٌ مُشْتَبِهَاتٌ أُمُورٌ مُشْتَبِهَاتٌ What type of construction is that? Mawsuf sifa. The word umurun is mawsuf and the word mushtabihatun is sifa. لا يعلمهن كثير من الناس. Right? يعلم. What type of verb is that? Is it مضارع or ماضٍ? مضارع. What are my defaults? علم يعلم والأمر منه اعلم والمصدر علم. هن بضمير متصل. هن, what's it referring to? أمور مشتبهات. Who is the fa'il of يعلم? Who or what is the fa'il of يعلم? كثير. And that is why the word كثير is what? مرفوع. فمن اتقى. اتقى. What are my defaults? اتقى يتقي والأمر منه اتقي والمصدر اتقاء. اتقاء. And the root letters are واو قاف and ya. اتقى يتقي اتقي اتقاء, which means to avoid, to stay away from. الشبهات. فمن اتقى الشبهات. What state is this in and why? Right, the word الشبهات here, good, it's mansoob, but it shows the nasab with a kasra. Why? Good. جمع المؤنث السالم, sound feminine plural. The sound feminine plural shows its nasab with a kasra. فَقَدْ اسْتَبْرَأَ لِدِينِهِ وَعِرْضِهِ Then they have freed themselves, or they have cleared themselves with respect to their religion and honor. استبرأ. Give me the defaults. Good. استبرأ يستبرئ والأمر من استبرئ and the master استبراء. استفعال verb form 10. Verb form 10 and my root letters براء حمزة براء. Good. وَمَنْ وَقَعَ فِي الشُّبُهَاتِ وَقَعَ فِي الْحَرَامِ And whoever falls into doubtful matters falls into the haram. وقع, defaults.
وقع يقع
وقع يقع والأمر منه قع. وقع يقع قع, and the masdar
وقعا
وقوع. وقوع. Right. كالراعي. الراعي. Right. This is it's a ma'rifah from the word راع. It comes from the verb رعى يرعى, which means to be a shepherd. Right. راعي is a shepherd. يرعى. رعى يرعى إرعى رعي, which means to pasture. حول الحمى. حمى is defined as a sanctuary. What is a sanctuary? A sanctuary is a place of land that you own that has like a delineated border. Right? There are borders that are known. So your sanctuary will be your what? Like your piece of land that you own that has a border around it. يوشك أن يرتع فيه. Right? يوشك أن يرتع فيه. All but grazing therein. So yushik means about to. أوشك يوشك أوشك إيشاك. Right? It's about to happen. أوشك يوشك أوشك إيشاك. It conveys the meaning of something that is, about to take place. Let's check what Hansberg gives as the translation. Good enough. To be on the point or verge of something. Make sense? So when you say yushiku an, he almost or he all but. So yushiku an yarta'a fihi, almost doing what? Grazing in it. Almost grazing in it. Right. Ala wa inna li kulli malikin hima. The word malikun as opposed to the word malakun. What is the difference? Good. Malik is king and malakun angel. Big difference.
What's the difference between yar'a and yarta'?
Same meaning. It's just two different verb forms for the same meaning. Alright. Ala wa inna hima Allahi maharimu. Ala wa inna fil jasadi mudghatan. Why is the word mudghatan mansub? Good. It's the ismu inna. Why is the word jasadu marfu'? Alright. صلح الجسد. It's the fa'il of صلح. Good. Alright. The narrator of this hadith is Abu Abdullah النعمان بن بشير بن كعب الخزرجي الأنصاري. أبو عبد الله النعمان بن بشير بن كعب الخزرجي الأنصاري رضي الله عنه. He was born 14 months after the migration of the Prophet ﷺ from Mecca to Medina, and he was the first child born to the Ansar, meaning after migration. After the Prophet ﷺ arrived in the city of Medina, the first child to be born to the Ansar was An-Nu'man ibn Bashir. Both his father and mother were also companions of the Prophet ﷺ. He is among the younger companions. And when the Prophet ﷺ left this world, he was only 8 years old. He was only 8 years old. He was known to be extremely generous, and he was also known to be good at poetry. And he was martyred in the year 56. 114 ahadith have been narrated from him. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him. Alright, something on asanid. Right, there are certain companions of the Prophet ﷺ that spent perhaps only a very short period of time with him, or they were very young when the Prophet ﷺ left this world. But they're narrating these very important statements. So one possibility is that they heard it as a child and they remembered it. But another possibility is that they heard it from other companions. Right? They heard it from other companions. And a principle in usul al-hadith is as-sahabatu kulluhum udud. The companions, all of them are considered to be upright and reliable. And so if a companion is missing, and a companion is narrating from another companion, it's perfectly fine. So it could be possible that An-Nu'man ibn Bashir didn't hear this directly from whom? Prophet. He heard it from a different companion. If that's the case, no problem. Alright, in terms of importance, this is also among those narrations that are considered to be part of the foundational or most important teachings of Islam. Alright, this is one of the 3 narrations highlighted by Imam Ahmad rahimahullah. According to some scholars, whoever reflects over the lessons of this hadith will realize that it encompasses all of the teachings of Islam. Right, whoever has some deep contemplation and reflection upon this hadith, they will come to the realization that it encompasses all of the teachings of Islam, both external as well as internal. It mentions all of the possible external acts that a person can do, the lawful, the unlawful, and everything in between. And إِنَّ الْحَلَالَ بَيِّنْ وَإِنَّ الْحَرَامَ بَيِّنْ وَبَيْنَهُمَا أُمُورٌ مُشْتَبِهَاتٌ. As well as the importance of purifying one's heart, which would be then the internal aspect. So this hadith encompasses all of the teachings of Islam, both the external teachings as well as the internal teachings. Alright, so in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ divided actions into 3 broad categories. Right, the Prophet ﷺ has divided our actions, our conduct, into these 3 broad categories. Al-awwal, the first, inna al-halal bayyinun, the clearly lawful. Right, the clearly lawful. The second, wa inna al-haram bayyin, the clearly unlawful or the clearly impermissible. And then umurun mushtabihatun, doubtful matters. So the Prophet ﷺ, he described those things that are clearly lawful by saying, Inna al-halal bayyinun. These are actions or affairs that the Sharia has explicitly made permissible through the Quran or Sunnah. Meaning their permissibility, their lawfulness is absolutely clear. It is unequivocal, unambiguous, and there are no doubts about it whatsoever. Right, so for example, eating bread, speaking, sleeping, walking, all of these are in al-halal bayyin. Right, consuming meat that has been slaughtered, consuming dates, whatever it may be. In al-halal bayyin, marriage. Then the Prophet ﷺ describes those things that are clearly unlawful by saying, وَإِنَّ الْحَرَامَ بَيِّنْ. So these are actions or affairs that the Sharia, through the Quran and Sunnah, has clearly and unequivocally forbidden. Their impermissibility or unlawful nature is absolutely clear. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. For example, stealing, cheating, lying, theft, right, gambling, drinking, interest, etc. And all of these are clear prohibitions. They are unambiguous. They are unequivocal. There's no room for discussion and debate or interpretation. So within the framework of the Sharia, there are certain things that clearly what? Halal. There are things that are clearly haram. Then وَبَيْنَهُمَا أُمُورٌ مُشْتَبِهَاتٌ. Right? Doubtful matters are described by the Prophet ﷺ as, and between the 2 of them are doubtful matters about which many people do not know. لَا يَعْلَمُهُنَّ كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ. So doubtful matters or actions are those in which there is doubt regarding their permissibility or impermissibility. So what is meant by umurun mushtabihatun is that the individual does not know. I don't know if this is permissible for me to engage in, and nor do I know if it's what? Impermissible for me to engage in. So it is important to note that the act or matter is not doubtful in and of itself. Right? In and of itself is not what? Doubtful. Where is the doubt coming from? Who is the doubt attributed to? The person, the individual. So the person does not know the legal ruling. They are unaware if it is permissible or impermissible. So for example, if a person doesn't know the ruling of a particular thing, then it is necessary for that person to avoid it until asking a scholar or a person of knowledge. So I don't know, is this permissible or not? That doesn't mean that thing is doubtful. It means what? I have doubt. If I have doubt, it's my responsibility to then do what? Clear it up. Go find out. Go ask a scholar.
For the definition of haram, that is set by definitive proof, that's the same for halal. It's set by definitive.
Alright, in the next part of the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ is explaining to us that it is much, much better to avoid doubtful things. That if I don't know the ruling of a particular issue, it is safer for me to completely do what? Avoid it until I find out. Right? So the Prophet ﷺ is explaining that it is much better and safer to avoid those matters, affairs, or issues that are doubtful. And he sallallahu alaihi wasallam explains that by avoiding doubtful matters, a person is protecting both their religion and honor. Right? فَمَنِ اتَّقَى الشُّبُهَاتِ اسْتَبْرَأَ لِدِينِهِ وَعِرْضِهِ. By avoiding doubtful matters, they are safeguarding, they are protecting their religion and their honor. How are they protecting their religion? If I avoid something doubtful, how am I protecting my religion?
If it happens to be harm or religion.
I'm staying away from it. Right? If it happens to be unlawful, I'm at least doing what? I'm staying away from it. They are protecting. They are protecting their religion because they are avoiding something that could potentially be unlawful or something that could cause them harm. And how am I protecting my honor? Right? If I stay away from something doubtful, then people can't blame me. Right? People can't blame me and criticize me for doing something that could potentially be wrong. And that is one of the reasons why there are narrations cautioning against being in situations or places that would lead to suspicions. Right? The Prophet ﷺ told us to avoid areas or situations and scenarios where people could have negative suspicions regarding us. Like, I shouldn't hang out at a bar. Giving da'wah, because people suspect that I'm there and I'm doing what? Drinking. Make sense? No. Alright, the Prophet ﷺ then says that whoever falls into doubtful matters, فَمَنْ وَقَعَ فِي الشُّبُهَاتِ وَقَعَ فِي الْحَرَامِ. Whoever falls into doubtful matters will eventually fall into something that is what? Haram. A person who continues to delve into doubtful acts and matters will eventually fall into something impermissible. So one of the scholars mentioned the disliked acts, the makruhat. Right? The disliked acts are like a checkpost between a person and unlawful matters. Whoever indulges frequently in disliked things will become a victim of unlawful matters. Similarly, the permissible acts are a checkpoint between a person and disliked matters. Whoever crosses the checkpoint often will commit disliked acts as well.
Who said that?
One of the tabi'un, I believe.
Could you say it again, sir?
So disliked acts are like the checkpoint between a person and the haram. Whoever keeps crossing the checkpoint will eventually do what? Something haram. And permissible mubahat are a checkpoint between someone and something that's makruh. So whoever keeps crossing that checkpoint will eventually do something that is disliked as well. Basically, when a person continuously does something that is doubtful, they start becoming careless. If a person continues to do something that is doubtful, they become careless, they let their guard down, and eventually they fall into something that is clearly forbidden. And that is why there are multiple narrations from the scholars of the past regarding staying away from doubtful matters. So for example, Abu Darda radiyallahu anhu said, complete taqwa is that the servant is conscious of Allah to such an extent that he fears Him with respect to the weight of an atom. And when he leaves something that he believes to be permissible, out of fear that it may be unlawful, as a veil between him and what is unlawful. Complicated statement. But what he's saying is that sometimes a person who has true taqwa will even leave things that are permissible. Right? The highest level of taqwa is that someone will even leave things that are what? Permissible, in order to keep a distance between themselves and those things that are clearly lawful. Does that make a sense?
What's an example of that?
What is an example of that? What would a good example of that be? There were instances in the past where, for example, there was a garden owned by the government, and they would give the fruit from that garden for free. It's permissible to eat that fruit, but some scholars would avoid it, saying because those government officials are what? Corrupt. They're corrupt. So in order to keep a distance between myself and their corruption, I'm going to even avoid something that's what? Permissible. Right. Al-Hasan al-Basri. Go ahead.
But this is limited to matters where like the fiqh doesn't exist for it, right?
Even if the fiqh exists for it. The highest level of taqwa is to even avoid things that are permissible. It's a high level. It's not required for everyone.
Mhm.
It's like a super, super high level of taqwa where people avoid even things that are clearly permissible, right? In order to keep a distance between them and things that are haram.
So like certain people that don't, like they only eat meat that they know they've themselves personally slaughtered.
Yeah.
Is that like excessive or that's just part of the
That's if that's their own personal standard that they're holding themselves to,
Okay.
no problem. That personal standard you can't expect others to have.
Okay.
And if others aren't doing it, you can't
Reprimand.
criticize or reprimand. Make sense? Now, Al-Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah said that taqwa remains with the people of taqwa as long as they leave many lawful things out of fear of the unlawful. Right, Sufyan al-Thawri, he said, they have been called the God conscious because they avoid that which isn't normally avoided. That's why they're called what? Al-Muttaqun. Right, Ibn Umar radiallahu anh said, indeed I love to leave a curtain between me and the unlawful of the lawful that I will not tear. So basically these are all examples or all statements that highlight the highest level of taqwa. And that highest level of taqwa in Arabic we call it wara'. Wara' means like your personal level of piety. That out of your own personal level of piety, your own standards, you avoid things that might even be permissible. Right? Just to make sure you're avoiding something that's clearly what? Haram. Wara'. Wara'in. Wara'un.
Some might say that this doing that would be like denying the favor that Allah has given you. Is that like, is there fear of falling into that, or that's not?
If it's your own personal thing, no problem. As long as you're not causing yourself any type of harm. Alright, the Prophet ﷺ then gives us an example to deepen the understanding and reality of this particular concept. Right, he compares a person that constantly indulges in doubtful matters and affairs to a shepherd who continuously grazes around the boundary of someone else's property. So that's the analogy that's been given. That a person who keeps engaging in doubtful matters is similar to a shepherd that keeps grazing around the boundary of someone else's what? Property. That if they keep letting their sheep eat the grass around that boundary, what's going to happen eventually? They're going to end up in that property. Right? If he continues to allow his animals to graze along the boundary of someone else's property, eventually they will end up grazing inside. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, truly every king has a sanctuary. أَلَا إِنَّ لِكُلِّ مَلِكٍ حِمَا وَإِنَّ حِمَى اللَّهِ مَحَارِمُ. And the boundary or the sanctuary of Allah is what? His prohibitions. Meaning the boundary that has been set up by Allah is His prohibitions. That is the line that Muslims are not supposed to cross or even come close to. So constantly engaging in doubtful matters and affairs brings one very, very close to crossing that boundary. Right? And then the Prophet ﷺ, he finishes this hadith with a very profound, a very powerful, deep and important statement. He said that there is a single piece of flesh in the body. أَلَا إِنَّ فِي الْجَسَدِ مُضْغَةً إِذَا صَلَحَتْ صَلَحَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّ. If it is sound, healthy, wholesome and pure, then the entire body will become sound, wholesome, healthy and pure. وَإِذَا فَسَدَتْ فَسَدَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّ. But if it becomes corrupt, then the entire body becomes what? Corrupt, becomes sick, becomes damaged, and that is the heart. أَلَا وَهِيَ الْقَلْبُ. We're not referring to the physical heart, not the organ. We're not talking about heart disease and hypertension. Right? The heart being referred to in this hadith is not the physical heart. Right? What is being referred to here is the spiritual heart. And the spiritual heart is the single most important part of the human body. That is where the seed of faith is planted, nurtured, and allowed to grow. The heart is the center of iman, understanding, thought, reflection, and contemplation. The heart is the engine that drives human behavior, both actions and statements. The heart is the general or the commander, and the limbs are its soldiers. So if the heart is pure, then the eyes, ears, and tongues will also be pure. And that is why there is so much importance placed on the concepts of spirituality and purification. Right? Tazkiyah to nafs. Right? Purification and refinement of the soul is a part of this deen. It is part and parcel of Islam. One of the responsibilities of the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the Quran is وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. Right? One of the major responsibilities given to the Prophet ﷺ was to do what? Tazkiyah. Right? Purify people's hearts. So it's purification and tazkiyah, which is understood as spirituality and purification of the heart, is an integral part of one's practice of Islam. Allah describes it as one of the primary responsibilities of the Prophet ﷺ. لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ بَعَثَ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِّنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ. That Allah has been truly gracious to the believers in sending them a messenger from among their own, to recite His revelations to them, to make them grow in purity, and to teach them the scripture and wisdom. Alright, those are the 4 responsibilities of the Prophet ﷺ. يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِ. He was actually responsible for going and reciting Quran to whom? To his community, to his people. وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, purifying them. Purifying their what? Hearts. Right? Removing disbelief and hypocrisy and jealousy, hatred, rancor, love of this world, and replacing it with praiseworthy qualities. وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابِ. Not only was he going to recite the book, but he's also teaching it. وَالْحِكْمَةِ. And the scholars say the hikmah is his sunnah. Right? His personal guidance and teachings. So a person, human beings, we have both praiseworthy and blameworthy characteristics and qualities. In Arabic, praiseworthy qualities are called fada'il. Fadila, fada'il. And blameworthy qualities are called rada'il. Radila. The plural being rada'il. With a that. Rada'il. Dal, ra, za, dal. Rada'il. Radila.
This is disgraceful acts.
Blameworthy qualities. Praiseworthy is called fadila. So our responsibility as human beings is to cleanse our hearts from blameworthy qualities and adorn our hearts and character with praiseworthy qualities. So we should be working on our hearts and purifying them from spiritual ailments and diseases such as hypocrisy, jealousy, greed, hatred, pride, arrogance, doubt, cowardice, miserliness, ostentation, and love of this world. And they should be replaced with truthfulness and love and selflessness, humility, certainty, bravery, generosity, sincerity, and simplicity. Alright, so some of the major lessons from this hadith. The first is the permissible, impermissible, and the doubtful. Right? The permissible, the impermissible, and the doubtful. Knowing what is permissible and what is impermissible is essential for a person's practice of Islam. Right? Obviously, as Muslims, in order for us to engage in what's lawful, we have to know what's lawful. And in order to stay away from what's unlawful, we have to actually know what is what? Unlawful. So there is a base level of knowledge and literacy that every single one of us should have that allows us to practice our faith and religion properly in a manner that is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And seeking this base level of knowledge, this base level of literacy, is an obligation upon every single Muslim. طَلَبُ الْعِلْمِ فَرِيضَةٌ عَلَى كُلِّ مُسْلِمٍ.
So, Shaykh, in today's time, this base level would be what?
Knowing enough about your faith and religion that allows you to worship Allah properly.
So, practically speaking, would be taking classes in fiqh.
Fiqh is part of it.
So what I'm trying to understand is that, of course, we are here in the seminary, we're learning about the
base level of literacy for every Muslim
would be what?
Is they should know their beliefs. What do they believe about Allah, His angels, His prophets, His messengers, the last day, and qadr? Number one, basics of belief. Number two, basics of fiqh. How to pray, how to fast, how to give zakah, how to perform hajj. Number three, basics of what's haram. What do I have to stay away from? What can't I consume? Right? What types of wealth are unlawful? What types of businesses are unlawful? So that they can stay away from it. And the third is whatever role you play in your life, knowing your responsibilities in that role. So as a mother, as a sister, as a daughter, as a husband, as a father, brother, what are my responsibilities?
Where would you learn all this if you're not in a
From the ulama. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. That's why there's so much emphasis placed on studying and learning, طلب العلم. All of this base level is fard. And this doesn't mean that everyone has to become a scholar. Right? It does not mean that everyone has to become a what? Scholar. Everyone has to learn enough knowledge that will allow them to worship their Creator properly with understanding. That is what is meant by the base level of literacy. You have enough knowledge that allows you to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala properly, correctly with understanding. Alright, the second lesson or benefit that can be derived from this hadith is this concept of personal piety. Right, this concept of your own personal standard of piety, which we call wara'. Right? Taqwa, God consciousness, is one of the defining qualities of a believer. There are several verses throughout the Quran where Allah addresses the believers, commanding them to have taqwa. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu taqullah. So the commandment, ittaqullah, 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 is repeated throughout the Quran. And oftentimes when the Prophet ﷺ was asked to give advice, he would often start his advice by saying, Usikum bi taqwallah. I advise you to be what? Mindful, to be conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So taqwa, in practical terms, is described by the scholars as obeying the commandments of Allah, staying away from His prohibitions. So basically any book of tafsir that you open up, when they're defining the word taqwa, that's how they define it. Imtithalu awamirillah wajtinabu nawahihi. Imtithalu awamirillah, obeying the commandments of Allah. Wajtinabu nawahihi, staying away from His prohibitions. That is the general definition of taqwa that's given, but that is the taqwa in terms of practical terms. That's what it means to be God conscious practically. You're trying your best to obey the commands of God, and you're trying your best to stay away from His prohibitions. There is a higher level of awareness, a higher level of consciousness or God consciousness, which is known as wara', that leads one to staying away from doubtful matters as well. Right? So this is a personal level of piety where a person chooses to avoid things that are doubtful or even things that may be permissible in order to stay far away from those things that are clearly impermissible. By doing so, they are striving to protect their religion and their honor, as described by the Prophet ﷺ. Sufyan ibn Uyayna rahimahullah, a very famous muhaddith, right, he says, a servant does not achieve the reality of Iman until they place between themselves and the impermissible a barrier of the permissible. Right? A servant does not achieve the reality of Iman until they place between themselves and the impermissible a barrier of the permissible, and until they leave sins and what comes close to them. So again, an example of this personal level of piety will be that if someone is very particular about what they eat. There might be someone who says that, you know what, I'm not going to eat out, period. My personal preference, I'm only going to eat what I have slaughtered with my own 2 hands. If that's their personal choice and preference, and that's their own personal standard, good for them. That's their own personal piety. But they cannot hold that standard to whom? To others. And they can't expect others to do that, and they should not be looking down on others because they don't do that. And nor should they be criticizing others because they don't do that. Right? Some people, they might avoid eating in non-Muslim restaurants altogether because of the fear of what? Contamination. Right? That's their own personal level of what? Piety. If someone does eat there, they should not hold them to that same standard. There's taqwa and there's wara'. Make sense? And there's taqwa and there's fatwa. Lower level of taqwa. So taqwa is not like a monolithic thing. There's a spectrum to it. There's a spectrum to even taqwa. Make sense?
What did you say was under taqwa?
People say there's fatwa and there's taqwa. The fatwa might be that it's permissible, but taqwa might be that I should avoid it. Make sense? Na'am. Alright, the third lesson or benefit of this hadith is the importance of giving examples. That the Prophet ﷺ explained a general principle that avoiding doubtful matters is what? Awesome. And whoever falls into doubtful matters then falls into the haram. Then he gave a practical example, like a shepherd who's grazing his animals around a sanctuary, all but going what? Crossing into it. So this hadith provides insight into the teaching methods of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ is the most perfect example of a teacher to walk on the face of this earth. He employed different methods, styles, and strategies to teach his companions important concepts, depending on the context, the situation, scenario, circumstance, environment, and audience. And one of those methods was to provide clear examples and analogies in order to simplify a concept. And this is something common, that oftentimes the Prophet would explain these difficult concepts through examples, so that all of the companions there could understand. Right. The fourth is asking questions. If a person has doubt regarding a specific issue, or if they don't know the ruling regarding a particular matter, it is their responsibility to ask those who know, the scholars. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ ذِكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Right. Ask those who have knowledge if you do not know. And the Prophet ﷺ said that حُسْنُ السُّؤَالِ نِصْفُ الْعِلْمِ. Good questions are half of knowledge. And the last, and perhaps the most important lesson from this hadith, is this whole concept of tazkiyah, right? Purification of the soul. And as I mentioned, this is an essential part of one's practice of Islam. So tazkiyah, or purification of the heart, is an essential part of Islam. Oftentimes Islam and religion in general is limited to ritual acts of worship and rules and regulations, a list of do's and don'ts. But Islam is a comprehensive way of life that contains guidance for every single aspect of our lives: individual, family, community, economics, and even politics. And the teachings of Islam can be organized into 5 broad categories. Right? There are 5. When someone says Islam, right, and the teachings of Islam, we are talking about 5 major branches. Right, 5 major categories of teachings. The first is creed. Right, the first branch of Islam has to do with belief, our entire system of belief. So this covers the articles of faith, arkanul iman, and our system of belief. So specifically, it covers the beliefs that make one a Muslim. So what do we as Muslims believe about Allah? Right, what do we believe about the existence and oneness of God, and about His divine names and attributes and His essence? Right? What do we believe about angels and the prophets and scripture? What do we believe about life after death, divine decree? Right? All of these teachings and creedal beliefs are an essential component of what? Islam. Because that's what's going to allow you to submit completely. Right? The second is ritual acts of worship, al-ibadat. The second branch, or the second major, teaching of Islam is ibadat, ritual devotional acts of worship. This covers ritual devotional acts of worship such as prayer, fasting, charity, and hajj. And these devotional ritual acts of worship are essentially our relationship with Allah, how we express our obedience and servitude and gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The third major sphere of Islamic teachings is then financial transactions. Because as human beings, we live in the life of this world. And in the life of this world, we have to earn a living. Right? We have to live in this world and abide by the systems and laws of this universe. And part of that is that human beings have to work and struggle to do what? Provisions. Allah provides, but the means to that provision is you doing what? Putting in work. You got to put in your effort and time. So this covers the rules and regulations related to business and trade, investing, partnerships, transactions that are permissible, and transactions that are impermissible. Right? طَلَبُ كَسْبِ الْحَلَالِ فَرِيضَةٌ بَعْدَ الْفَرِيضَةِ. Seeking a permissible form of income is an obligation after other obligations. Meaning after praying and fasting and ritual devotional acts of worship, earning a permissible income is also what? Fard. Especially if you are the head of the household. The fourth is then social dealings. Right? The fourth major branch of Islamic teachings is social dealings. Because as human beings, we all play different roles in life. Or we are fathers, brothers, sons, uncles, mothers, daughters, aunts, friends, neighbors, colleagues, classmates. And each of these roles, we have certain rights and responsibilities. And the last is tazkiyah. Tazkiyah and good character. That adorning one's character with praiseworthy qualities, such as sincerity, patience, forbearance, taqwa, simplicity, humility, and generosity, while purifying our hearts from spiritual diseases, such as hypocrisy, pride, envy, hatred, jealousy, and love of this world. So when we say Islam, Islam encompasses all 5 of these major branches of teachings. Right? There's aqa'id, beliefs, ibadat, devotional ritual acts of worship. There is al-mu'amalat, financial transactions. There's al-mu'ashara, social dealings. And then there's tazkiyah.
Al-mu'amalat are the financial transactions?
How would you apply tazkiyah to something like politics, for instance? Is it on the personal level or like the...
Tazkiyah to politics? Before getting into politics, purify your heart and your intention. Make sure you're doing it not for the fame and the name, but for serving mankind and serving people.
Sheikh, what was the social dealings again?
Social dealings and mu'ashara. Mu'ashara. Mim, ayn, alif, sheen, ra, ta marbuta. Al-mu'ashara. All right, we can take a short 3-minute break. We'll stretch out for a bit, then we'll start with hudud. All right, from this hadith, I would like you to memorize at least the first 3 lines. Right? إن الحلال بين وإن الحرام بين وبينهما أمور مشتبهات لا يعلمهن كثير من الناس. I would also like to memorize the last line. ألا إن في الجسد مضغة إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله ألا وهي القلب. Make sense? Five done, 5 more to go, and then we will have a quiz. So after every 10, we'll have a nice little quiz.
For Shifio's class, we have homework and we have to interview our teachers. Oh, well, one of them, but I actually got some memory, so I was trying to ask you. It's because of a few questions. What curriculum do you use to first study Iman?
I mean, in our traditional madrasa system, we do 2 official books on theology. One is Al-Aqidah al-Tahawiyah, and the second is Sharh al-Aqa'id al-Nasafiyah. Sharh Aqa'id al-Nasafiyah. And then we study theology and creed and iman through hadith. So there's a Kitab al-Iman in Mishkat al-Masabih. There's Kitab al-Iman in Sahih Bukhari. And there's Kitab al-Iman in Sahih Muslim.
teach Iman, where would you start?
Where would I start?
Yeah, if you were to start your class.
With the arkan of Iman, based on the Quran.
Is there a book you would use in particular?
I would start with building a connection with Allah. And what I like so far is that there's a book called In the Company of God.
Okay.
By Sheikh Salman al-Auda, who's in prison right now.
Oh.
It's called, in Arabic it's called Ma'allah, with Allah. So it's basically, in the company of God. So basically he just goes through and describes the divine attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
If you were to teach kids,
If I were to teach kids, just come up with their own thing revolving around
based
the
on, okay.
articles of faith.
Thank you.
Alright, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah wa ba'd. So far in Mukhtasar al-Quduri, we have gone through the section on wudu. And in the section on wudu, Imam Quduri has 3 subsections. Alright, the first is he discusses the fara'id of wudu. So my expectation is all of you should be able to read the text, put the proper vowels, translate, and you should also be able to explain to me what the fara'id of wudu are. There should be something you know off the top of your heads, that the fara'id of wudu are for, and if you know it in Arabic it would be much better. Right? غسل الوجه وغسل اليدين إلى المرفقين مسح ربع الرأس and غسل الرجلين إلى الكعبين. And then he mentions the sunan of wudu. Right? He mentions the sunan of wudu, and we counted out the sunan and it came to a grand total of 15. Right? He mentions 15 things that he considers to be sunnah, but he divides them into sunnah and mustahabbat. But according to the muhaqqiqun, according to the researchers, everything he's mentioned is actually a sunnah, mu'akkada in wudu, except for one thing, which is, let's see. There's one thing that is not sunnah mu'akkada out of all those things that he mentioned. And I believe it is, let's see. I think it's the mashur raqaba, wiping over the neck. Alright, then we did al-ma'ani an-naqidatu lil-wudu, those things that nullify one's wudu. And that is where we stopped off last week. So far we have gone through 4 things. Alright, 4 things that nullify a person's wudu. Alright, the first, كُلُّ مَا خَرَجَ مِنَ السَّبِيلَيْنِ, everything that exits from the 2 passageways. And to be explicit, because when it comes to fiqh, there's no istihya, there's no modesty, because we're talking about fiqh rulings and tahara and purification, which is a precondition for the validity of prayer. What he means by sabilain is the 2 passageways, meaning the 2 private parts, the front and the back. The male private part, the female private part, and the backside. Anything that comes out of there, whether it's a regular substance like urine or feces or wind, or it's an irregular substance that doesn't normally come out, like I know for example someone has a kidney stone and they pass that stone. Anything that comes out the two passageways, your wudu broken. Right? The second is when impurity exits from anywhere else on the body. And what is meant by exit is very specific, is that it rises to the surface and flows. So if blood or pus or serum rises to the surface of the skin and then flows, your wudu is what? Broken. Right? So nosebleed, wudu breaks. Alright. وَالْقَيْءُ إِذَا كَانَ مِلْءَ الْفَمِ. Vomit breaks your wudu only if it is a mouthful or more. Right? And the reason being that a mouthful, the way they defined it is that it's so much that you can't keep it in without difficulty. So when it happens to be a mouthful or more, that means it has exited from the body. If it's less than a mouthful, it has not yet what? Exited the body. Right? And then the fourth thing was nawm. And what we mean by nawm here is deep sleep. And the way he describes deep sleep is وَالنَّوْمُ مُضْطَجِعًا, sleeping while lying on one's back. أو متكئا, sleeping while lying on one's side. أو مستندا إلى شيء, or they are leaning against something. لو أزيل لسقط عنه, if that something were to be removed, they would fall. Right? So deep sleep, according to the Hanafis, according to the Muhaqqiqun, right, and what the fatwa is upon, is any sleep while lying down. Whether it's on your back, whether it's on your side, if you're lying down and you fall asleep, your wudu is broken. If you fall asleep while your maq'ad, while your bottom side is firmly planted on the ground, your wudu is not invalidated. And the reasoning for this is because when a person goes into deep sleep, they say, istarkha mafasiluhu, his joints and his muscles relax. When a person goes to sleep, your joints and your muscles become relaxed. And adatan, normally speaking, while a person is sleeping, they pass wind. And passing wind breaks your wudu. But since you're asleep, you don't know. Then they say, al-aada kal-mutayaqqin. So whatever happens normally is like something that happens with certainty. Or that is the reason, or the line of reason. That's the argument behind it. So if you go to sleep and you go into deep sleep, then your wudu is broken. But if you fall asleep with your bottom firmly planted on the ground, and if you were to pass wind in that scenario, then you would most likely no.
What if your bottom's firmly planted and you're lifting something?
As long as your bottom's firmly planted. So whoever falls asleep during the Jummah khutbah still got wudu. Na'am.
Even if it's deep sleep, right?
Even if it's deep sleep. وَالْغَلَبَةُ عَلَى الْأَقْلِ بِالْإِغْمَاءِ, the mind being overcome through unconsciousness. Right? Al-Ighma means when you fall unconscious. So obviously when you lose consciousness, same thing happens, is that your joints and your muscles become relaxed. And usually when your joints and muscles become relaxed, you're going to pass some wind. So because of that, your wudu is considered to be broken. That is number 5. That is the 5th thing that he mentions as nullifying one's wudu. The 6th, al-junun. Al-junun here is referring to a bout of insanity. That a person is sane and something happens, and because of that something, they snap and they go a little bit, mashallah, off the wall. How the scholars and fuqaha define insanity varies, but basically the same argument is being made, that when a person has a bout of insanity, they're not fully conscious of their actions, and most likely something's going to happen that would break their wudu. The last thing, wal-qahqahatu. Qahqaha means laughing out loud. And the fuqaha define laughing out loud so much so that your neighbor can hear you. Right? Laughing out loud means that the person standing next to you can actually hear you laughing. So laughing out loud, fi kulli salatin, in every prayer, dhati ruku'in wa sujudin, that has ruku' and sajda. So by saying that, he's excluding salatul janazah. And he's excluding sajdatul tilawah. Right? By saying fi kulli salatin dhati ruku'in wa sujudin, he's excluding salatul janazah, because salatul janazah is salah, but there's no what? Ruku' or sajda. And he's excluding sajdatul tilawah because there's sajda there, but there's no ruku'. Alright, now this particular one is khilaful qiyas. It does not make any rational sense. All of the other ones you can make a rational argument for it. Because the principle behind losing one's wudu is that some sort of impurity exits from your body. So all of the 6 things before this that were mentioned, there is some way that impurity is exiting from your body. But laughing out loud, there's no impurity exiting your body. So why is the wudu nullified? The Hanafi say because there's a hadith. Right? There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where one day he was leading the companions in prayer and the blind person walked by and he fell into a ditch that he didn't see. So because of that, some of the companions started laughing. So the Prophet ﷺ told those companions that whoever laughed, your prayer broke and your wudu broke. Go make your wudu and pray again. So based off this one narration, the Hanafis, they say that whoever laughs out loud during prayer, not only is your prayer invalid, but your wudu is also what? Invalid.
And this is only for when in prayer. So what if
Only
you
laughing
laugh
out, only laughing
outside of
out,
prayer?
only laughing out loud in prayer. Outside of prayer, no worries, no problem. Only within salah. Make sense? So these are the 7 things that he describes as al-ma'ani al-naqidatu lil-wudu. And the title we give to this is nawaqidul wudu. Right? Those things that nullify wudu. My expectation again that all of you know these inshallah.
So I've heard a principle in fiqh is that an uncertainty or like a doubt does not overcome a certainty. So if someone is uncertain if they pass the gas or not, or like that
so
doesn't.
al-yaqeen la yazulu bil-shak. If you are certain you have wudu, I made wudu this morning, and now it's Dhuhr time, and I am not sure if I did anything that nullifies my wudu, you go with the assumption that you still have wudu.
Okay.
Make sense?
So, Sheikh, for laughing out loud during salah, so do the other madhahib not take that hadith as authentic, or do they just say that it's not rational, so you don't take it?
They do some interpretation of it. They do some different interpretation of it. Alright, now Imam Quduri is going to move on to the topic of ghusl. So basically, we said that there's 2 types of hadath. There's al-hadath al-asghar and there's al-hadath al-akbar. So Imam Quduri started off his book by talking about how to remove oneself from al-hadath al-asghar. Why did he start with that? Because that's more frequent, it's more often. Now he's going to talk about how we remove ourselves from a state of al-hadath al-akbar, major ritual impurity. Major ritual impurity is when we need to perform ghusl. So he's going to start by first mentioning the fara'id of ghusl, then he's going to mention the sunnah of ghusl, then he's going to mention the reasons why you have to make ghusl. Make sense? Na'am, bismillah. Iqra'i ya Muna, bismillah.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, qala al-mu'allif rahimahullah, wa fadlu al-ghusli al-madmadatu wal-istinshaqu wa ghuslu sa'il al-badan.
Very good. So Imam al-Quduri rahimahullah is saying that the fara'id of ghusl are 3 things. فَفَرْضُ الْغُسْلِ, right? The obligatory acts of ghusl. Fard, we should know the definition. مَا ثَبَتَ بِدَلِيلٍ قَطْعِيٍّ لَا شُبْهَةَ فِيهِ. Any act that is established through a definitive proof that has no room for interpretation, no doubt. So al-fard, مَا ثَبَتَ بِدَلِيلٍ قَطْعِيٍّ لَا شُبْهَةَ فِيهِ. So meaning that in order for ghusl to be valid, these 3 things have to be done. If one of them is not done, or if one of them is deficient, then your ghusl does not count. Make sense? Al-ghuslu bi dhamm al-ghain. The word ghusl has a dhamma on it. When it has a dhamma on it, it's referring to this purificatory bath. It's referring to a ritual bath for purification. If it's a fatha, al-ghaslu, it means washing. Right? Al-madmadatu. So one of the fara'id of ghusl is madmada, which is rinsing your mouth. And what is meant by rinsing the mouth is rinsing the entire surface area of the mouth. So every portion of the mouth must have water touching it. And that is why they say when you do ghusl, you have to gargle. Right? So from the beginning, middle, end of the mouth, water has to touch every portion of the mouth. And al-madmada is actually a masdar from the verb madmada. Right? The verb is madmada. Good. So madmada, yumad, mid. This is a hard verb to say. The amr madmid. And the masdar madmadatun. Okay, it means to rinse your mouth. وَالْإِسْتِنْشَاقُ. The second fard of ghusl is istinshaq. Istinshaq means sniffing water up your nose. When you blow it out, it's called istinthar. Istinshaq, sniffing water up. Istinthar, snorting it out or blowing it out. So one of the fara'id of ghusl is making sure that the inside of your nostrils are washed completely. And that is why they say you take water up till you feel the burn. At least once. Alright, istinshaq is a masdar from which verb? Shaqa. Al-Madi is Shaqa. The Mudari'u, yes, فَلْيَسْتَنْشِقُ. The Amr is Shiq. And the Masdar Istinshaqun. Verb form?
No, 10.
Verb form 10. Root letters? Good. Noon, Sheen, and Qaf. Again, istanshaqa means to snort water up, to sniff water up. And the opposite of it is istinthar, to blow it out. وَغَسْلُ سَائِرِ الْبَدَنِ. In washing the entire body. So these three things are considered to be the fara'id of ghusl. If one of them is missing or deficient, then the ghusl is considered to be invalid. Right? Sa'irul badan means every part of the body must have or must be covered with water. واضح? Good. وَسُنَّةُ الْغُسْلِ. Now he's going to mention the sunnah of ghusl. And here the sunnah means sunnah mu'akkada. Those things the Prophet did on a regular and consistent basis. نعم. وَسُنَّةُ الْغُسْلِ. Continue. واصلية هنا.
وسنة الغسل أن يبدأ المغتسل بغسل يديه وفرجه ويزيل النجاسة إن كانت على بدنه ثم يتوضأ وضوءه للصلاة إلا غسل رجليه ثم يفيض الماء على رأسه وعلى سائر بدنه ثلاثة ثم يتنحى عن ذلك المكان فيغسل رجليه
وليس
على المرأة أن تنفض ضفائرها في الغسل إذا بلغ الماء أصول الشعر.
إذا بلغ الماء
أصول الشعر.
Good. So over here Imam al-Quduri rahimahullah is mentioning the sunnahs of ghusl. Al-awwal أن يبدأ المغتسل بغسل يديه وفرجه. That the mughtasil. Al-mughtasil is the ism al-fa'il from which verb? اغتسل يغتسل اغتسل اغتسال, which means to bathe. So al-mughtasilu, the one who is bathing. So the one who's bathing should start by washing his hands and then his private part. So the sunnah way of performing ghusl is that before starting the ghusl you wash your hands. Right? And then after washing your hands you wash your private part. وَيُزِيلُ النَّجَاسَةَ إِنْ كَانَتْ عَلَى بَدَنِهِ. The third thing is that then you will wash off any impurity if there's impurity on the body. ثُمَّ يَتَوَضَّأُ وُضُوءَهُ لِلصَّلَاةِ. Then he will perform wudu just like his wudu of prayer. إِلَّا غَسْلَ رِجْلِهِ, except for washing the feet. Right? And the reason for not washing the feet is, again, this is from the pre-modern era. In the pre-modern era, they didn't have drainage system. So where they'll be making ghusl, the water would pile. So that water that's piling up is not clean. So there's no point in washing your feet until you're done. Right. ثم يفيض الماء على رأسه. Then he pours water over his head. وسائر بدنه ثلاثة. And all over his body 3 times. ثم يتنحى عن ذلك المكان. Then he will move from that place. فيغسل رجليه and wash his feet. Alright, really quickly go back. And يبدأ. Why is the verb يبدأ منصوب? Because of an. And what are my defaults for يبدأ? Good. بدأ يبدأ والأمر منه ابدأ والمصدر بداية. Alright, بدأ يبدأ ابدأ بداية, which means to start. So أن يبدأ المغتسل. Alright, المغتسل is the اسم الفاعل from the verb اغتسل. The مضارع يغتسل. والأمر اغتسل. والمصدر اغتسال. Verb form? Anyone want to take a guess? 8. So after we're done with the 40 hadiths of the Manawi, I'm going to grill these verb forms. Inshallah. I'm going to be like second nature, you're going to have nightmares regarding that. Verb form 8. And my root letters? Ghain, Sin, and Lam. Alright, اغتسل means to bathe. So al-mughtasilu, the one who's bathing. So Aisha radiallahu anha, she narrates that the Prophet ﷺ used to do ghusl in a very specific way. And that specific way is that he would start by first washing his hands. Then he would pour water onto his left hand and wash his private parts. Right, then he would wash his hand again, and then he would remove any impurity from his body. Then he would make wudu just like he made wudu for prayer. So he would wash his hands, rinse his mouth, rinse his nose, wash his face, then wash his arms to his elbows, wipe over his head, wash his feet. Right, so he would make wudu just like he made wudu for salah. And then he would pour water over his body 3 times. Once over the right shoulder, once over the left shoulder, and once over the head. Right, and that is the sunnah way of performing ghusl. In the modern era we don't use buckets, we have showers, and the shower head is a continuous stream of water. So if someone wants to attempt the sunnah way of ghusl, then make wudu first, and then shower. As long as water reaches every part of your body, your ghusl is done. Alright. Let's see. Yuzilu. What are the defaults for yuzilu? وَيُزِيلُ النَّجَاسَةَ. Good. Azala. The mali is azala, which means to remove. Azala والمضارع يزيل والأمر من أزل والمصدر إزالة. Verb form? 4. And the root letters are za, waw, and lam. أزال يزيل أزل إزالة. نعم. يتوضأ. الماضي توضأ. الماضي توضأ. المضارع يتوضأ. الأمر توضأ. المصدر توضي. Verb form 5. This is verb form 5. Wow, ضاد and همزة. تفعل توضأ. Alright. ثم يفيض الماء على رأسه. Then you will pour water over his head. يفيض, what are my defaults? أفاض. Right. أفاض المضارع يفيض والأمر منه أفض والمصدر إفاضة. Verb form 4 فا يا and ضاد are my root letters. Right. ثم يتنحى عن ذلك المكان فيغسل رجليه. Then he will move from that area and wash his feet. يتنحى, the ماضي is تنحى. تنحى يتنحى تنحى and تنحي. Also verb form 5. Noon, ha, ya are my root letters. Right. وليس على المرأة أن تنقض ضفائرها في الغسل إذا بلغ الماء أصول الشعر. Right. And it is not mandatory upon a woman to untie her braids as long as the water reaches the roots of her hair. So if a woman has braids and she needs to perform ghusl, she does not need to untie the braids as long as the water reaches where? The scalp. As long as water reaches the scalps.
Can you repeat the vowel signs for that statement?
Yeah. So وَلَيْسَ عَلَى الْمَرْأَةِ أَن تَنْقُضَ ضفائرها في الغسل إذا بلغ الماء أصول الشعر.
What was تنحى again?
To move. Right. إذا بلغ الماء أصول الشعر. Right. بلغ is فعل ماض. Why is the word ما مرفوع? Why is the word ماء مرفوع?
It's fine.
It's the fa'il. And why is أصول منصوب? مفعول به. And why is the word شاعري مجرور? مضاف إليه. Good. Alright. So those are the sunan of ghusl. So we've done the fara'id, we've done the sunan. And now the next section is why we have to do ghusl. And we'll do that on Wednesday inshallah. So نقف هنا and we'll pick up from here on Wednesday.
Why is the braid specific to women?
For men as well. Same. As long as the water reaches the. He mentions braids for me because usually women have braids not. After we're done with the ghusl, we'll have a quiz. After we're done with the section of ghusl, which is very little left, we'll have a quiz. I believe I'm with you on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, or no, just Monday, Wednesday. I'm with you guys on Thursdays too?
No, 2 days.
Just Monday and Wednesday, right? So then the quiz will be next Monday.
Should we like vocab and
From Quduri, everything's fair game. Anything that we discuss in class is fair game. Primarily, I want you to be able to put the vowels on the text and translate. You should be able to put the vowels on the text, proper vowels, and translate, and then explain the major concepts. Like what are the fara'id of wudu? What are the sunan of wudu? What is fard? What is sunnah? Right? What are the fara'id of ghusl? What are the sunan of ghusl? What nullifies one's wudu? Etc. Any questions?
Could you repeat the Arabic definition for fard?
ما ثبت بدليل قطعي لا شبهة فيه.
الفرد
فرض. ما ثبت بدليل قطعي لا شبهة فيه.
Then is there a definition for sunnah?
Yeah. For sunnah مؤكدة ما واظب عليه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مع تركه أحيانا. It is what the Prophet ﷺ did on a regular and consistent basis while leaving it sometimes. It is what the Prophet ﷺ did on a regular and consistent basis while leaving it sometimes. But مع تركه أحيانا. That is sunnah مؤكدة. السنة غير المؤكدة ما فعله النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مرة وتركه أخرى.
واظب.
واظب means to do something on a regular and consistent basis.
Regularly.
Sunnah mu'akkada. Sunnah mu'akkada is something that the Prophet ﷺ did regularly while leaving it sometimes. Sunnah ghayrul mu'akkada is what the Prophet ﷺ did sometimes and sometimes he didn't. That's what the Prophet ﷺ did sometimes and sometimes he didn't.
It's مع تركه.
Yeah, مع تركه.
Sheikh, is there a salah after النبي? Is that short for sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
I wrote the whole thing out. My salah looks messed up.
Is that ma واظب?
واظب.
هل صار مؤكدة؟
مؤكدة؟ السنة المؤكدة. السنة غير المؤكدة. Why do you guys get a lot of Arabic homework for Sheikh Jibril?
Oh,
Huh?
yeah. It's not too bad.
It's not too bad?
Sentences.
We didn't have any.
A lot of Arabic
Yeah,
homework
that's
for Sheikh Jibril.
I think myself, Sheikh Ahmed takes the prize. Sheikh Ahmed Kudi.
Huh?
For homework,
For homework?
Sheikh Ahmed Kudi takes the
Yeah.
prize.
The most?
Yeah.
To do this year.
It's all classwork, isn't it?
No, it's a lot of translations.
You do it in class.
No.
With him.
Oh.
No?
It's like we write, he goes quick, so we kind of just write notes on words that we don't know, and then I go back home and then
Compile it.
yeah, and make it sound like cohesive because when he translates, it's the last email I sent him like 4 files, all different translations, and we have notes. So
You have just a bunch of PDFs.
yeah, that's what it's going to be. I knew them all from my computer.
You guys want to order last?
Oh no, you guys want
Quick question. Just wanted to see when it says this is an old manuscript. I'm just trying to see what it says. يا ربنا يا خالق كل بيننا وبين كل ظالم right واجزي لكل من إلينا ذا إحسانا
Sana?
You translated it.
Yeah.
Reward everyone
What?
that is good. Reward everyone that's good to us. Bless them abundantly for
Sana.
وجازه this is جازه يعني
Sana.
أو جزاء الأحسن أحسن أحسن
Yeah. One is اسم التفضيل, the other one is just فعل. This one is just, it's called like من أحسن إلينا. But they do أحسن just for the poetry to rhyme.
جوع وال if you translate
عزة.
yeah عزة is blame it's عزة
Yeah.
واكشف عنا من البلاء ما لا
يكشف غيرك.
يكشفه غيرك
Yeah.
and this last one here اللهم اجعل في اختيارك اختيارنا right اجعل في اختيارك اختيارنا and then اللهم اجعل ما نحب فيما تحب دعاء دعاء This is the
That's like
Sufi dua. No, I was reading about the
I think we need separate.
definition of bid'ah. Is that the website called deoband.org is it reliable?
Yeah.
So on there, there's a shot saying all the, I think, the Shire and Aqidah Tahawiyya or something. So he has some definitions like the Sufis and all their minutiae would classify their bid'ah as
No, I don't. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay.